of three, count of three, we will say our pledge of allegiance. 1, 2, 3. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
States
of
of
America,
America,
to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We are still a sovereign country, and we are grateful to be citizens of the best country in the world. I thank you. Good evening to everyone. Dr. Cash, your staff, the board members. Today is September the 16th, and we are having our board meeting today. I am working somewhat with a disadvantage today. People to bear with me. I hearing an echo. We have to get that housekeeping piece under control before we start. Okay, thank you. All right. So, in starting out, Dr. Cash?
Yes,
Board recognitions for us today?
I do.
Please share.
Good evening, colleagues. Earlier this afternoon, we sent you an email that outlines the board recognition for this evening, gives you the names of 28 amazing students and the schools that they are from. So I'd like to introduce our Student Technology Leadership Program interns this evening to you and give them a special commendation and recognition from the Board of Education and from the Buffalo Public Schools community. This evening, it is our pleasure to recognize our third cohort of 28 Student Technology Leadership Program interns. This team of technology wizards is mentored by their equally dynamic instructional technology coach, Brianna Pride. Welcome all. This year's cohort is an exceptional group of students who served on the front lines in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. You will recall that the Student Technology Leadership Program internship allows students to gain career experience while they're earning income and community service hours toward graduation requirements. And this summer's experience provided 28 talented students with the opportunity to learn technical skills, improve their soft skills, and gain real-world work experience. Students from 10 high schools were represented in this year's internship and accomplished the following. They reconfigured our classroom computers and our computer lab in preparation for our return to remote school learning. They prepared our one-to-one devices for distribution, and that included repairing, updating, organizing, and inventorying our student iPads and laptops. They provided support for our 4 tech support site locations at Bennett, East, South Park, and Lafayette High Schools. And that enabled students and their families the opportunity to pick up their devices and hotspots and have their devices repaired. They staffed a help desk for students and families participating in summer school. They facilitated introduction to Schoology training sessions for families and caregivers. And they helped distribute devices to students in grades 2 through 12, also to staff for the start of the 2020-21 school year. So you know these 10 schools, from Hutch Tech to Lewis J. Bennett, Lafayette International, City Honors, McKinley, Buffalo Academy of Performing Arts, South Park High School, Riverside Academy, and IPrep School, the International Preparatory School. and the New Buffalo School of Culinary Arts and Hospitality Management. Those are the 10 high schools these students represent. And I want to conclude now by naming the names of these students for your special recognition. Darren, are the students online with us this evening?
They are. So we ask that when you say their name, they say here or hello. So then the camera will be able to pick up on them. So we'll be able to see them.
Okay, students, I'm going to do the best. You have some beautiful names, and I want to make sure that I pronounce them to the best that I can. First, Cadence Aguilar. Sabiha Akhtar.
Hi. How do you feel about that?
Good evening. Sahara Ali.
Hi.
Lexiander Colazo. Ariana Colon. Elijah Darling. Kevin Forbes. Priscilla Forbes. James Love. Jason McCallion. Abdi Kareem Mohammed. Davin Moore. Fa Zin U. Oh, Mio U. Galib Ovik. Ariana Parker. Rem Pollack. Quinlan Quiones. Josiah Ramirez. Alyssa Schroeder. Miracle Singleton. Saifullah Tayeb. Tyler Thompson. Tadiwanishi Nigel Tigere. Florence Uwamaro. Adriana Vasquez. Niada Walker. And Lania Woods. Colleagues, join me in commending and congratulating this really, really amazing group of students. Board members,
Thank you,
any comments that you would like to make?
Board members, is there anyone that would like to, Jen Makuzi has raised her hand. Thank you. Terrence
So
Hurd.
I would just like to thank each and every one of you. You're juggling your own learning as well as trying to teach us all grown folks and everyone else like how to get this done. I appreciate you as I have a child in the schools right now and technology is not my friend. So you guys have great futures ahead of you. Use this to your advantage and keep doing great work. Very proud of you. Very proud of you.
Thank you, Mrs. Makuzi. Mr. Board Member Hurd.
Yes, first of all, I'd like to thank your parents. You know, give your parents a hand right now because they're the ones who's influenced you to go ahead and help out with the district and just your energy that you give. You know, it helps us adults also. You know, in our mission. So let us know that we're working hard for you guys, and that you guys stepping up like this is like a huge inspiration for us and for me personally. So I'd like to thank you and give your parents a hug, and I wish I could. Thank you so much, everyone.
Mr. Hurd. Are there any other comments from our board? Board Member Larry Scott.
I mentioned it last week that I saw some of you firsthand with my younger boys when we went to exchange devices on South Park Ave, and you were all wonderful. You worked with my boys in getting the devices hooked up and ready to go. Very cautious with the COVID-19 guidelines and restrictions. All of your work is just extremely commendable, and you should all be very, very proud of yourselves. The work that you're doing is just absolutely critical for our students, for our families, at a time that is extremely challenging right now. So be very, very proud of yourselves. I'm very proud of all of you. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Vice President Lou Petrucci.
I just want to say thank you all very much. It's students like you that are the best of the Buffalo Public Schools. It really makes me proud. It's one of the reasons that I like serving on the Board of Education, is to see what talented young people can accomplish, not only for themselves, but for the district. And the way that you guys are helping your fellow students achieve the next level is very impressive. Thank you very much. We're all very proud of you.
I don't see any other board members' hands raised. With that said, I will say to you young people that I want you to frame this point in time. Think about what you have been able to do. Young people who are just starting out, to realize that you can handle this. If you can handle this, you can handle anything else you encounter. I really am sitting here today thinking about our culturally linguistic responsive initiative, and I'm looking at a rainbow coalition. So proud of the diversity in our district, and I'm so proud that you stood up to represent and help us. And I'd like to utilize this group of people, Dr. Cash, make sure that they have an opinion when we have our forum for our young people, be allowed to be guests invited in a special way to participate in the conversation that you can have with the board in the future. So what I suggest you do is something that you think that we can do better, or that you save it. We're going to do this probably by next month, I hope, before definitely before Thanksgiving break. Allow our young people to have a conversation with the Board of Education. And I want you guys to be our special guests because you've already contributed. And we appreciate you, and continued success to each and every one of you. Thank you, thank you. Dr. Cash, with that said, thank you, young people. We're gonna move forward.
Thank you, Brianna, too. Brianna leading that is amazing.
Brianna, pride for Edward.
Thank you, Brianna.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brianna.
Thank you all. Thank you, students. It's all them. It's all them.
So students, feel free. You can log off now. Thank you for being on for that recognition time. Feel free to log off now. Thank you very much.
I wish we could somehow take a group picture of them, or a group shot of them on the screen.
You're muted, Mrs. Cotman. We can't hear you.
Let's put their pictures on our website, if nothing else. We'd be able to take pictures of those individuals and have them as our stars, and I call them our ambassadors, because certainly they are assisting us in being the best we could be. Ambassador would do, support and guide. Dr. Cash, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Your superintendent's update, Dr. Cash?
Okay. Colleagues, I just have two questions for you tonight, and something I want you to think about as we go forward. For every meeting that we have and in our conversations together, what are our district priorities at this time? At this time. And number two, what is in the best interest of the Buffalo City School District right now, short term and also long term? I have some succinct responses from my way of thinking about this, but I want us to join it as a team and as a board, and use it as an anchoring point so that we can focus. We're getting ready to go through a tunnel, and it's a severe tunnel. And I want to make sure that the light at the end is not a train coming at us. So let's think about what our priorities are. Let's focus in on them. And let's make sure that that guides us through this year. It's going to be one of the most challenging years, certainly in my career, which spans over 40 years, and probably anything that you've seen. And the only way we're going to get through it is if we start focusing today going forward, and that we work together as a very tight governance and management team.
Amen.
And that's my main update right now.
Sure what you updated on, but I hear what you're saying, and I think that can speak collectively for the board in saying that our priorities have always been to put children first and to provide the best education for our children. And I think that this board does that very well. And our conversations have always been about moving our children to the next level. That is a priority, always been evident with this particular board. And I can reference quite a few things that I can show that we've done that. So if someone else wants to speak to that as a board member, you certainly have the floor to do so at this point. However, if you do not, we will definitely pick it back up when Vice President Lou Petrucci has his executive affairs committee, and we will certainly make it clear at that point what our priorities are as a board, so that we can be in it is a consensus together, Dr. Cash. Okay, our concern has always been as a board, children first, and I think the decisions that are being made by this board, the questions that are often asked, speak loudly to that. And if anyone disagrees with me, please speak up or has anything else to say. But other than that, I felt that that's been our focus. A1.
Well, I put the caveat in there about at this time. Certainly that's always been the case, but we're in a different kind of timeline. So I just want you to think about it. It's not something you can really answer tonight, in my mind. So think about it, and let's talk about it in our subsequent meetings together.
And we are going to do that. And if we need to have a special meeting just for that case, in case to do that, I'm sure this board would be receptive to do so, because we do want to make sure that in times like this, that we're clear on what our expectations are. And each board member is articulate, capable of expressing themselves accordingly and understand where they stand. All right. So what we're going to do, we're going to do something a little different today in regards to our speakers. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sure.
We have nine hands. Who was up first, Larry or?
Yeah, sure. And I was just going to say that. Thank you, President Common. Yeah, I'll be reaching out to the board members to find out, just make sure we're all on the same page with respect to priorities, both at the district level and what is of the best interest for the district right now. Thank you. Larry?
Vice President. Yes, Larry.
Well, are we opening this up to a conversation about some of our priorities, or are we delaying to another meeting or another time?
Well, how I was seeing it is that if it was something on your heart that you wanted to express, you certainly could express it, or you can wait until a meeting at another time to it's just what you want to do.
I think I'll just say, because I think there's a lot of attention from parents on this and from the public in general that, given the circumstances that we're in, providing an equitable education to all of our students is an incredible challenge right now. And I think we need to start having some hard conversations about how we can safely bring back some of our students to in-person learning in the near future, especially our students with disabilities, our English language learners, our at-risk students, and our youngest students, pre-K, kindergarten, first grade. That's, I think what I'm hearing most right now from folks. Safety is obviously the priorities, but we need to find a way, or at least to begin those conversations and how we get to that point. The funding right now, cuts from the state are a major concern, and how that's going to impact this district this year and beyond. And along with that, I'm going to be presenting a late item towards the end of this meeting on charter schools, because the continued growth of charter schools are significantly impacting Buffalo Public Schools, as well as our existing charters that are operating quite well. So that's certainly something that we're going to discuss further at the end of this meeting. And I think I'll leave it at that, but I think it needs to be said that this is a challenge for all of us. And we need to, I think, start having that tough conversation about how we bring back our most vulnerable students into our buildings.
Points, Mr. Scott, very good points. I've seen another hand go up, Terrence Hurd. Your hand go up and come down again?
Yes. Thank you. I believe that through all our committees and the board's research and work that we've been doing, I think we've been doing a wonderful job. If it's from executive affairs and the finance and ops, educational support, or the student achievement, a lot of issues have been addressed this year alone. We're only into 2 months into this school year. I mean, a month into the school year, going into the second, and a lot of great decisions have been made. I know that one thing that Larry said about reopening school and getting children of needs back into our buildings, and that's one of our huge concerns. That's everybody's concern. And I think that this board right now is looking at what's going on in the other district, in Waynesville district. We're looking at what's going on in Lackawanna, our neighboring bodies, and we're pulling together and working hard together, and meeting with our constituents, our stakeholders, about, what the plan going to be and what's afforded. We got two groups of people out here. We got families that want to return in-person learning. We have families that feel that the safety for their children will be better met at home. So it's a divide, but it's not much of a divide, because we're addressing the best way that we can, and we're looking forward. I don't quite understand what the comment was about working together, because I believe that this board is doing a very diligent job working together, putting a piece of the puzzle together, and everybody on this board has a very unique quality that they can adapt to the board and to the district in certain areas that that needs to be met here in the Buffalo Public Schools. So I'm glad to be working with this board, and I'm glad, the work that the district has done, and even, introducing some of our plans and introducing some of our works, by listening to our community. We are firsthand with the community. We're working with the community, and we give those answers back to the board, to the district. And I think that we're doing a wonderful job working together.
We have an additional hand that went up, Paulette Woods.
I want to say that equitable education for all is always going to be a priority. And in a time of cutbacks, making the cuts in a way that children still get a quality education and all children receive it is important. And the CLR training, making our education relevant to all cultures and all backgrounds, must continue. That's one of our greatest achievements. And the only other thing I want to point out is that in a time of learning, a lot of parents are saying that children are not able as quickly or get as great an education on a computer screen. And what they're hoping, and they were expressing to me, is that working with these community groups, if they can, their children can go to community groups to get some one-on-one, it would be a big, you just have to get some one-on-one. Can't bring them into the schools, big gym, in a big gym where they can get it. Groups, the community groups, churches, etc., are well able and have been to provide that type of additional support to our families.
Thank you. Okay, with that said, I don't see any other hands. And I guess I guess the other thing that I would like to say is that when I have always been raised, Annie, that if there is a shortage, the children don't go without, the adults do. So if there's not enough food in the house, the adults don't eat, the children do. So let's make sure we keep that focus, that our children go first before anything else with this board. And that's what's important to us. So we will definitely have this conversation. And if we need to have a special meeting to do it, we can have one of those as well. But it did catch me off balance that this conversation even came up, because I thought we had a clear understanding that this board is very serious about moving forward for our student population and doing everything we can for them and making sure that students are first. So with that said, let's keep on moving. We're going to do something a little different. Vice President Lou Petrucci is going to handle the comments from speakers section today. I'm going to turn it over to Vice President Lou Petrucci. Thank you.
Thank you, President Cotman. Let me begin by reading the guidelines for speakers. The board welcomes speakers who have signed up to speak at tonight's meeting. Please be reminded that all speakers' remarks must be limited to 3 minutes or less. We ask that speakers be mindful that this is a business meeting open to the public and televised locally. Attendees and viewers include persons throughout Western New York, including children. This board asks that speakers conduct themselves professionally and that their comments remain civil and courteous, bearing in mind that they will be heard by people of all ages. This is an opportunity for Buffalo's residents to address the Buffalo Board of Education about issues that serve the public interest and the district mission, and the board asks that speakers demonstrate appropriate decorum. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. That being said, tonight our first speaker is Leslie Addison, a teacher about community-based programs.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, perfect. Great job in recognizing all those students today, and great rollout with the computers. It's been wonderful, but really that's not my focus today. I'm a NYSED teacher at McKinley, and I've been working for months in conjunction with parents to save our 2 classrooms that have been housed at McKinley for years. I've been delivering district lessons all weekend, having a voice to create reform today. And I want to use mine on behalf of my parents and students. The parents and I have been reaching out to the special ed department for answers as to why one of our classes was dismantled at our school and students were transferred out. Sadly, our efforts since June have been ignored, and we want to know why a state-of-the-art program at McKinley with numerous amenities that no other school can boast about was disregarded so easily. Our amazing classroom resources allow for the perfect community training program. We have awesome teachers at our school that allow our kids to participate. They participate in horticulture, carpentry, ecology, sociology, JROTC, and other programs. And that allows them to really, these special needs kids, to be part of a whole school community. And yeah, our classroom is big enough to house 2 classes. And you know what? Come and see it. The kids, if they were there, would make you some delicious cookies. I'm not kidding. Our students have been with us quite a while, and we're a family unit. And together, I get a little emotional here because we struggle with the death of one of our students who died from leukemia, and we mourn for others who experienced loss. One student lost a precious grandma, one a father, and others who lost loved ones, and we've been there to comfort each other. And now they're going through loss again. We welcomed a student who came from a refugee camp, and she was made part of our classroom family. And creating diversity is important to us. And now, because of the changes, our students and their families don't understand why some had to leave our program and change schools and teachers. This has had a negative impact on our most vulnerable students, and they question why this happened. Our immigrant student is displaced and tossed around to another school. One student called me up and said, "Why do we become orphans and get moved like no one cares?" Parents were told by the special ed department that this was a change that was put in place to enhance the needs of our children. In fact, the opposite seems to have occurred. What they failed to recognize and consider is the bonds that we created at McKinley, not just with our students, but with our parents. The Buffalo School District education bargain stressed the importance of students and their families. But in this situation, I'm at a loss to how to rationally explain to my students and parents why this happened when we can maintain the program at our school. Our principal wants to keep it in place, and she says we have the budget for it. Students are adjusting to have to stay at home, but when they come back, let them return to some normalcy at their home school. They deserve that. I appeal to your good senses to keep our program and our students at McKinley. Students and families are depending on you. I love these kids and will advocate for them in order to provide them with an enriched academic and social and emotional environment that meets all their needs. Please
Ms. Addison?
Yes.
You're well over. Can you wrap it up quickly?
Sure. I just have one of my Arabic set of parents tried to get on the call today, but because of their lack of English language, they asked me to say a quick statement. I'll be really quick. They said, please switch our daughter back to McKinley for high school. She needs to be where she's comfortable learning. We're not happy with the changes that were made. Change them back. What happened to school choice? We'd like her to go back to McKinley. It's so close to us where she would be safe and where she loves doing horticulture. And also, I had a parent call 3 times and leave a message to talk tonight. Nobody ever got back to her. Okay, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Addison. We appreciate your comments. Next, I have Aida Montalvo, a parent, regarding the current instruction mode. Ms. Montalvo? Ms. Montalvo, are you available? Ma, are you available? Hello? Okay. We'll try and come back to Ms. Montalvo. Ms. Phillips, Angela Phillips, a parent, regarding the changed classroom to one teacher. Ms. Phillips?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, and thank you for allowing me to speak today. I am the grandmother of Jelon Robertson, who was in the community-based classroom with Ms. Addison and Ms. Zimmerman. And I just want to say that I was a little surprised at the dismantling of the class where he, thrived on stability. He doesn't adjust well to change. This summer they switched the program, the district stating that it was, for his social and emotional, well-being of the kids. And this is, kind of not what we wanted. And I didn't feel like it was to his benefit. And if anything, these changes has caused a little stress on him when he found out that he wouldn't be, with the teacher and with some of the same kids that he has already been with. He should be with his teacher, that he was previously with. These kids have special needs. These are not things that they're just, that's just attached to them. They're just as human as anyone else, but they're a little different and special in their own way. And sometimes things like this that we see can be small, some can really cause, have a different effect on kids of that nature, which I'm trying to say is of different nature, because everyone have their own kind of special need. And I'm just asking that if it's at all possible, can this be fixed and he be placed back into the classroom, that he was in, with his friends and his teacher at McKinley High School for some normalcy.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips. Darren or anyone else would like to respond, or do we want to wait till afterwards?
I think we keep going with the speakers, and then at the end, the superintendent's response. You know how he responds to all the speakers at once? So
I
we
do,
can keep
Darren.
going. Yep.
It was a rhetorical question. Jessica Osmequita, parent regarding remote learning. Ms. Osmequita?
Hi, thank you for having me on. My name is Jessica Amezquita. I'm calling as a parent to a pre-K child. I had some issues, as everyone did the first couple of days of school with technology. But my biggest concern is that she has certain activities that she has to do, like touch screen, and we don't currently have the resources or funds to purchase like a touchscreen laptop or big enough device that she can learn with. And I know that the school has mentioned that they're still waiting for orders to come in. But I also had some issues regarding additional technology devices. For instance, headphones and headsets that have a microphone. As a mom that's working from home and also trying to teach, work alongside my daughter to help her and assist her with the instructions that the teacher gives her, it's difficult to have her focus while she's also listening to my background noise. And I'm sure other parents are probably going through some struggles like this at home if they have to work from home. So just being more aware that certain families and certain parents might need more resources, not just a laptop or a Chrome. My other concern, my second concern, because I know I only have 3 minutes, was relating to the meal distribution. So like I just mentioned, I'm a parent that's working from home and trying to assist my daughter from home while she's working in school. And the time frame, 11 to 1 o'clock, is very time constraint. Like I can't really make it. And I've talked to over 20 parents that are in the same position. They don't have any time to make it to the meal distribution times. So I was just wondering if there's any possibility for late evening, late afternoon, or some type of accommodation with delivery distribution that's simple enough for parents that are working or can't make it to pick up the food. If there could be some kind of accommodation for parents like me. And my last concern, which was kind of mentioned in the meeting, was community hubs and having partnerships with community centers, Boys and Girls Club, different centers like that to have more of the one-on-one student tutoring or student attention. I work with students from the Buffalo Public Schools that are youth advocates. And one of the things that I'm concerned about is that if they don't get the support that they need, like the one-on-one assistance, that they might fall through the cracks. So I was just wondering if there was any type of partnership with community hubs. And that was my last point.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Amezquita. Next I have, thank you again. Next I have Emily Zimmer, a teacher regarding the McKinley Community-Based Room. Ms. Zimmer, are you available?
Hi, I'm here.
Okay, please continue, Ms. Zimmer.
Okay. In June, Ms. Addison and I were completely caught off guard from hearing the news of the closing of the community-based room. One of our parents received a phone call and was told that their child would not be returning. This sent a domino effect onto the other students and parents. We had numerous phone calls and texts from our families asking why and how this could happen. We started to advocate for our students and families by sending numerous emails to various people in the special education department and to Dr. Abraham. We had no response. It was frustrating for us all. We couldn't get any answers. We were trying to keep routine consistency and friendships intact. We have the school budget to keep both classes open. The parents and students want to stay at McKinley. The teachers want the program to keep growing, yet we are asking why. Why would they close a state-of-the-art classroom? Our school was remodeled in 2012, and the community-based teachers at the time were able to help set up amenities for the room. Our classroom is equipped to handle 2 classes, even with the recent ratio change. We have 2 full kitchens where students can learn independent living skills, restaurant skills, and kitchen safety. We have 3 stovetops, 2 ovens, 3 dishwashers, 2 fridges, 3 microwaves, and so much more. Whereas many other classrooms in the district that do NYSA don't even have an oven. We are able to teach hygiene and laundry skills with our washer and dryer and 3 sinks. We are able to have monthly food fundraisers where the students take orders, buy supplies, and cook for staff in the building, which helps them learn important vocational skills, customer service skills. Our students have even planted flowers and helped with the horticulture program. We have a yearly district-wide talent show that allows the nicest students to show off their talents. For many, this is the only opportunity they have to be up on stage. The district spent a lot of money to set up this room, and it isn't being utilized to its greatest potential. Our location leads to many vocational and community training opportunities with its close proximity to numerous businesses, restaurants, and the main Metro bus line. We participate in the Saba ice skating program and art classes at the Knox. We are able to walk to Penny Birchfield, Buff State, and the History Museum. Buffalo State student teachers also come and work with our students, which is a great partnership. Each year, we have 7th and 8th graders visit the building, and they can't believe our setup and amenities. Students say they can't wait to come to McKinley. So why would we close a room and take away those roster spots? As a teacher, we are taught to advocate for our students' best interests and well-being. Since the end of June, I've been trying to do just that. My students have said the following statements, which show how much they miss their friends. Dariana said, "I want my friends back because I really think it's unfair, and I had a very good friendship with Anwar. I miss her a lot. She was like a little sister to me. I want them to stay in the classroom because it's not the same without them, and it's not a family without them. It's incomplete." Nazaria, another student, said, "They were my friends, and taking them away from me takes a piece of my memory and my life away." All of the students asked me about their friends and why this happened. I am dumbfounded and unsure what to say. So I stand here for my shy students, advocating for them and their peers with the hopes that you will help us reopen our community-based room at McKinley and keep 2 rooms. We are asking to keep our MAC family together and allow the students to remain at their choice of school. So just to kind of go off of what Ms. Addison said, we're just both trying to advocate for our students. We have such a great program and a state-of-art classroom, and we just think it's such a loss to the district to close a room out of that program.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Zimmer. We appreciate your comments. Next, we have Sean. Oh, you're welcome. Next, we have Sean Crawley, who's a teacher regarding the closure of the West New York Day treatment. I just want to say I wanted to thank Mr. Crawley for bringing this to my attention, and that I did receive a response to many of your inquiries previously yesterday. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Crawley if he is available. Mr. Crawley? Mr. Crawley? Hello? Okay. Not hearing from Mr. Crawley, I will ask if Lori King, a teacher, is available regarding support of the CLR curriculum. Ms. King?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
All right.
First, I want
The
to
floor is
start
yours,
by,
Ms. King.
Thank you. First, I want to start by thanking the district officials for all their hard work in this unprecedented school year. I know a lot of difficult decisions have had to be made, and I appreciate all your efforts. I next want to voice my support for the CLRI department and the curriculum that has been developed and provided to educators in this district. As an educator, as well as a parent to a Brown child, I appreciate the opportunities this curriculum provides. I believe that curriculum should function in 2 ways. The first being a mirror. It should function as a mirror for students to be reflected in the curriculum and see themselves in what they're learning. As research has proven, students excel when they are represented in literature and curriculum. We as educators have an obligation to the students we serve to provide them with opportunities to be accurately represented within the curriculum. The CLRI curriculum provides those mirrors to students who may not always see themselves in what they're learning. With this, I urge all to remember that allowing our students of color to have a mirror in the curriculum does not shatter nor remove anyone else's mirror. There is space for all, and this curriculum works to be inclusive. Secondly, I believe curriculum functions as a window to learn and explore the lived experiences, whether that be present day or historically speaking. A window that allows students to be more equipped to navigate this vast, culturally and linguistically diverse world we live in. We as educators have an obligation to share and create those spaces for students to explore. This curriculum provides windows for students to look out and gain a deeper understanding of their neighbors, friends, and work towards the goal of allyship. This curriculum is multifaceted and a true celebration of diversity, individuality, and community. I want to thank all who were involved in the creation, development, and teaching of this groundbreaking curriculum. Thank you for your time and the space to speak this evening.
Thank you, Ms. King. We appreciate your comments. Next, I have Jacqueline Kroom, who is a parent regarding the Black Lives Matter curriculum. Ms. Kroom, are you available? Jacqueline Kroom? Okay. All right. We're going to move on then to Wendy Mastretta. Dr. Mastretta is a parent, and she has comments regarding the reopening. Dr. Mastretta, are you available?
I am. Can you hear me?
We can. We turn the floor over to Dr. Mastretta.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Let me start by saying that my kids are doing fine with remote learning. It's not ideal, but it's much better than in the spring, and we appreciate having a schedule to follow. However, I'm here tonight because it's not just about me, and as president of the DPCC, I feel a strong responsibility to continue the 20-plus year tradition of ensuring that our caregivers are able to participate in meaningful parent engagement and support of shared decision-making, as outlined in federal and state laws and regulations, and in accordance with our own district policies. With this in mind, the DPCC Executive Committee decided to host 2 meetings this month. Last night, we had a special meeting just on reopening, and next week we'll have our regular monthly business meeting. The guiding questions for last night were all focused on supporting our students during remote learning. We know that that's the space we're currently in, and we were trying to work through and support that. However, what we truly heard was that our families continue to be confused, frustrated, and angry. In terms of supportive requests, our families are seeking as much normalcy as possible in a virtual way. We are seeking a system of establishing social and academic pods for our students. For example, for group projects, lunch periods, and after-school clubs. I was informed that schools would not support this through Teams due to safety and security concerns. However, we know that students will find another way that may be even less safe or secure. We also know that IT is working very hard to meet needs, and there was a suggestion last night for an online IT chat line to address urgent issues. Plus, we are also concerned with mental health issues, and we would like all schools to ensure that guidance counselors are meeting with students as soon as possible. As you already know, so many concerns revolve around clear and consistent communication. This involves challenges with getting information from and to our schools in the district. We have heard that a family liaison communication plan is coming, but many families still have not heard from schools or teachers. We continue to do our part too through our outreach, meetings, and supporting district efforts, such as requests to update contact information. However, there are problems with inappropriate scheduling, access to in-person services, and confusion over assignments, especially for families with children in multiple grades in schools. We are hoping that parent access to Schoology will address some issues. But families are really seeking a consistent communication system, including information for whom to contact with issues and concerns when normal channels do not respond. While these are important questions needing a quick response, the larger issue is really families wanting to know what comes next. What is the actual plan for reopening? When we can't get answers to basic questions like what is the soonest possible dates that students may be back in buildings, and what metrics will be used to determine such accessibility, and how and when will parents be engaged in the process, and will the voices of parents who were not a part of the consensus be heard this time? We are left wondering if there's even a plan to make the plan. We continue to appeal to you all for a partnership to ensure meaningful parent engagement to support open and transparent shared decision-making for reopening and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mastretta. Next, I have Danielle Gray, who is a teacher who wishes to speak in support of the CLRI curriculum. Ms. Gray, are you available to speak?
I am. Can you hear me?
We can. The floor is yours, Ms. Gray.
Thank you so much. So thank you for allowing me to talk today. I'm calling in support of the CLRI curriculum and to give my opinion on the way Buffalo School District has started the 2020-2021 school year. I'm proud to be part of an organization that is student-centered. When we have a district where 80% of the student population is Black and Brown children, it's important that we make sure that we're inclusive. With the CLRI curriculum, we're addressing all of our students, which includes the marginalized students that make up 80% of the population. We started school in an unprecedented way, and we're addressing issues within our district in an unprecedented way. The district included social emotional learning, personal identity, social justice, and civil rights as our opening lessons for the first 2 weeks of school. We're using principles such as loving engagement, community, empathy, and diversity as a guide for our students to start out the school year. It's gratifying to be part of this curriculum and methodology. I don't know of any other district that has dedicated this amount of time and energy to making sure we address our students' well-being. I think that any parent, teacher, or even member of the community that sees the materials used to teach these principles will be impressed with how it's designed to support student learning and student voices. They will also see that we're using thoughtful materials that teach our children to think for themselves and to use their voices in a responsible way to make a difference. I feel it's important to be able to voice this, to use our voices in our schools. So thank you for letting me speak today. I just wanted to show support for the program.
Thank you very much, Ms. Gray. We appreciate your comments. Next, I have Brooke Woods, a teacher and parent who wishes to speak in support of the CLR curriculum also. Brooke Woods, are you available?
I am.
Okay, the floor is yours, Ms. Woods.
Thank you so much for allowing me this moment on this platform to speak for the CLRI curriculum. It's very near and dear to my professional and my personal heart. I have a really unique role in BPS as a teacher and a parent, and I find myself with the opportunity to have a positive impact in creating racial and social justice within our district. As a white educator with a growth mindset on my own anti-racist journey, I realized that our biggest impact, our work, and our protest towards equality for all can actually start with me. It can start in my classroom, and it can start within my own home. This is why I find it so crucial to become a part of the CLRI department as the guardian of equity from my school last year and as a parent liaison for my daughter's school. This is why I joined the CLRI curriculum team this past summer in an effort to teach the history of our BIPOC community members accurately, with pride and with grace and with self-empowerment. We wrote and we collaborated on lessons to directly address and dismantle bias and racist beliefs so that as oftentimes unfairly in our educational settings that come to surface. We needed lessons that teach our Black, Brown, Indigenous, immigrant, and refugee children to see themselves in a positive light, where they display self-worth, self-love, and cultural pride. Also, these lessons are helping their white classmates become more than just peers and friends. They're becoming aware. They're learning how to focus their responsiveness on social justice, and they're becoming true allies. These lessons have created safe spaces where students can be vulnerable. They can share their experiences, expand their empathy, foster their social emotional growth, and create restorative resolutions. My own brown children deserve to see their beautiful faces, their skin, and their selves in the curriculum and the literature chosen by their teachers at BPS. They and their classmates must have more exposure to the beauty of all races, culture, and ethnic backgrounds. We must teach inclusion, tolerance, and acceptance for our entire student population. This is why I think that white allyship is so important for all of us, for me, with staff and educators and everyone at BPS, where I'm encouraging my colleagues to consider the lens we're using as we're trying to create this inclusion for all. We welcome other educators with varying perspectives to join our ongoing effort in the creation of our lessons. And I've been teaching them for the last week and a half to my students, and they're so impactful. This is truly from my heart. I can't tell you enough how much growth we've had in these last couple days with our kids. Lastly, we became teachers because we all love kids, and all of the kids that join us in our classroom. We love to watch them find their voices and feel inspired. And I can't imagine a better way to facilitate this growth than through infusing culturally relevant teaching in our curriculum. Thanks for your time.
Very much, Ms. Woods. Next, we have Betty Macklin, a parent, guardian, and grandmother who wishes to speak on the Black Lives Matter curriculum. Ms. Macklin, are you available to speak?
Yes, I am. How are you?
I'm doing well. The floor is yours, Grandmother Macklin.
Yes, I would like to give the guy who's the head of all our lives and to thank Dr. Morrell for a job well done. Just like to say, Black lives does matter as well as any other lives that matter. We ought to teach these kids. Maybe if we start by teaching these kids that Black lives do matter as well as all lives matter, they would know that Black people did invent things. We can take some teachers out of this to let them know, you know, Black people, clothes on the shoes, the plasma, cotton. We all matter. So we can teach these kids a little unity, put them all together as one. If Buffalo can catch, all the cities can catch fire and let go. Not only Black lives matter, all matter. And I just want these kids to learn so my grandkids, your grandkids, whoever grandkids can have a beautiful life. They're going to need it. And yes, we all. I just want to say, Dr. Morrell, job well done. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Macklin. Next, we have Jessica Bauer-Walker, a parent who wishes to speak about trauma-informed care. Ms. Bauer-Walker, are you available to speak right now?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
The floor is yours.
Thanks. I wanted to say, too, I'm not sure if other people are hearing this, but it sounds like somebody's not on mute. There's quite a bit of background noise. So if folks are on the phone, maybe they can make sure that they're muted. My name is Jessica Bauer-Walker. I'm the president of the Buffalo Schools Community Health Worker Parent Association. I'm also the PTO president and a parent at International School 45. And I'm an executive director of a nonprofit organization and a trauma practitioner. So from that lens, I wanted to say I realize that this is a very difficult time for all of us, not just as parents, but as district and building leaders, as teachers, as students, and community partners. And we really want to stay positive and encouraged. And we also want to, from a trauma-informed care perspective, affirm how difficult these times are. So I just wanted to lift up those trauma-informed care principles, and they're very much aligned with equity and the culturally linguistic responsive initiative, which I fully support as well. For us just to think about the fact that we're dealing with collective as well as individual trauma, and those trauma-informed care principles are so important right now. And those are safety, peer support, collaboration and mutuality, trustworthiness and transparency, empowerment, voice and choice, and gender, race, and historical issues. Even just the speakers on this call, and I've spoken to over 100 parents and students over the summer and on this first week of school about their experiences in both one-on-one conversations and my work as a community health worker as I'm trying to assist people with food and IT, housing issues, getting mental health services. And people are going through a lot. I think that our district leaders are well aware of that. And I am hoping that we can really center that as we move forward and know that trauma-informed care, the training is really important. And the most important part is really how we embody it, that we need to be practicing it as adults and that we really need to be working in full support and partnership with our parents and students right now. Just the folks on this call have talked about some significant issues. You know, for our special education parents and students, for our parents that don't speak English, who have low literacy, who cannot navigate these technology platforms, for our parents who are working and trying to balance working and parenting and supporting a virtual learning environment, we need to figure out how we can do more. And I'm not putting that all on the district, but I'm asking the district for support and partnership because we're really overwhelmed as parents right now. And I talk to parents every day who are struggling. You know, when you need food in your home and you're working and you can't get over between 11 and 1 to get food, that's not a good feeling. And we need to figure out a trauma-informed approach to make sure that people can get basic necessities like food when our families have really depended on the district for food. So I'm not saying that there's easy solutions, but I'm really hopeful that we can really work in full partnership and share decision-making and collaboration. And again, that collaboration and that trustworthiness and transparency, which are principles and practices of trauma-informed care, I think can really guide us and help us to move forward in these unprecedented times. Thank you.
Sorry about that. I forgot to press mute. Thank you, Ms. Bauer-Walker, for your comments. Next, I have Karanda Meters, concerned family member regarding the Black Lives Matter curriculum. Are you available to speak? Okay,
Yes,
the floor is yours. Yes, we can.
How is everyone doing today?
We are doing well. Thank you for asking.
Awesome. So I am calling today in regards to the curriculum that Dr. Fatima Harrell has put together, which is, I'm going to say, absolutely amazing. I actually have a 7-year-old grandchild that is learning virtually. I'm also a member of Most Valuable Parents, MVP, and Stop the Violence Coalition. And as you know, we deal with a lot of parents that are transitioning into the virtual world of learning. I used to homeschool myself, so I do understand how significant learning can be through the computer, but I know that it is a transition for most. So this curriculum that I actually was able to see some of the lessons from my grandchild is amazing. The fact that we are dealing with, you know, just turbulent times as it relates to race and all the tensions that is going on, I think it's an excellent opportunity for young people to be able to understand from the mindset of something that's more collective in the sense of teaching it in a way that stems from love and education and empathy. A lot of parents, you know, they're home all day with their kids and they, you know, they can't go to school, but they actually are taking them to protests, to rallies. And a lot of times the young people are there and they really don't understand what's going on, but they can see the tension, they can see the anger, they can see the hatred. You know, they're listening to different obscenities of race that is being, you know, called and going around with the people that's involved. So the fact that there is a curriculum that is actually taking the time to explain what Black Lives Matter is, the importance of it, being that Buffalo is one of the most segregated cities in the country. We know this in the fact that it's been like between number 3 and 6 with all the studies. So race is definitely an issue that in the city here that we deal with a lot. Our young people deal with it, our children, you know, little kids deal with it, and I don't think they understand it. So the fact that Buffalo Public Schools actually has a curriculum that is explaining it, teaching it, is long overdue, very long overdue. I think this is a model that every school district should have nationwide. I've looked at the lessons. They're very informative. They're so good, actually, that I've been trying to screenshot and save it because I think it should be workshops that adults actually need this. You know, I love the exercises, the dialogue that's involved, the different tasks that's given, and it also opens the opportunity for discussion. A lot of parents are having a difficult time trying to really explain the things that's going on in regards to race because they don't understand it themselves. And with this curriculum, it actually provides the dialogue as a parent and child, a grandparent and grandchild to explain it in a very simplistic manner where they get it. And not only do they get it in the sense that they don't have the anger and hatred attached to it. They're learning it in the way that our history is important, what we offer is significant, but also the fact that we all must work together as a human race. So I just implore you to keep it in, keep it going. regardless of the people that might have an issue with it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. They're greatly appreciated. Last, I have Niall Dobbins, guardian, among other things, who would like to speak about cultural education and Black Lives Matter. Mr. Dobbins, are you available? Mr. Dobbins?
Neil's daughter.
Oh, Niall? I'm sorry. Niall Dobbins, are you available? No. One last call. Aida Montalvo, are you available? Sean Crowley, are you available? And last, I'll ask if Jacqueline Kroom, a parent, is available to speak. Not hearing any, I'm going to close the speakers list. Thank you, speakers, all for your comments. At this point, I'm going to turn it back over to President Kottman.
Thank you, Vice President Patucci. Dr. Cash, do you have any response to our speakers today?
I do. So thank you to all of our speakers for your comments. We very much appreciate them, and it's what makes a great democracy work when we hear from our public and our citizens. I would like to suggest, colleagues, that for Addison or Leslie Addison, Angela Phillips, I believe she was with that group, and Emily Zimmer, I would like to have a meeting over the next few days with you, with some of our staff, district staff on the call with you. I'd like to understand a little more about this particular issue and see what I can do to rectify it. I'm not quite sure I understand it fully, but it seems concerning to me in listening to you. And I'd like to have us all sitting at the table, see if we can work through these issues. So Ann Botticelli and Kim Holscher, I will be calling on you and Toya Wilson to sit with me and call these colleagues and so that I can hear better about this particular concern. For the 7 equity guardians of equity, I will call you. We really appreciate, as a board and as a district, your commendations offered tonight in support of the culturally and linguistically responsive teaching initiatives, the Black Lives Matter curriculum, and the way that you expressed it. I couldn't express it any better than you have done tonight. So we really appreciate that. Dr. Fatima Morell's leadership on this has been fabulous and I believe cutting edge in this country. So certainly we will continue the work. But I do want to say that the curriculum was always meant to be a bridge builder, not a divider. And if you get into the curriculum with us, come join us in these courageous conversations. We believe very firmly that this is the way to build unity in the country today, not to further divide it. And sometimes there's a misconception that that's what this curriculum is intended to do. So please join us. We welcome all comments, criticisms, all of it. But this is something that is very much needed, not only for the 81% of our student population that is Black and brown, but for all of our students, whether you're new to the country, as what we call new Americans, whether you're white, Latina, African American, and white isn't the same, by the way. White has many, many, many flavors and ethnic richness to it. So we want everyone to join in this important conversation. And I like when the commenter who said that this has never been done before, that in her experience. And so let's make it strong, let's root it in deep, and then let's see this tree grow. And then I believe the last grouping of comments came from our parent leaders. So we thank our parent leaders, Wendy and Jessica, who are very familiar to us. And certainly we want to share with you, partner with you, and continue to improve the school district. That's what this has always been about, is to keep getting better and better. This work is never done, never done. You only keep working and trying. So please, let us join your meetings. I'm always willing to have staff come join your meetings, Wendy, so that we can, on the spot, respond to the concerns of your constituents. And Jessica, we certainly agree that in this, so many of our parents and families are struggling. And what we've always said is we will reach out to them individually to let us know who needs what and who needs help. And we will disperse staff to be helpful and develop a plan of action for that particular family. For example, and I'm going to close. For example, on the meal distribution that I believe it was Jessica Amesquita talked about, we have a lot of parent volunteers, and we'll deliver meals to you. I'm sure Bridget would be amenable. Just let us know. She'll fix up the meals for you, and we'll get them out to you through one of our parent volunteers. On the issue of the community hubs, which some board members have talked about, and we certainly support. We actually have a new initiative underway as we speak with substantial funding from Erie County, and they are working closely with Buffalo Public Schools and Say Yes. David Rust and I just talked this morning, for example, about we have 45 sites across the city, over 2,000 seats, where we will be having in-person, one-on-one students coming in to those sites and being able to take part in remote learning from those sites. So that's in the spirit of what some of you have talked about tonight, and is how we're going to provide that one-on-one support for students during a time when we're learning remotely from home. So this new partnership with Say Yes, through funding from Erie County, is going to go a long way toward this community hub learning model. So thank you for your question, and we'll keep you updated on the progress of that important initiative. All right, so that in effect are my comments for tonight. And again, thank you to all of the speakers for their comments. It helps to improve us as a district. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cash. Dr. Cash, I'd like to say in regards to that concern, that community classroom, I was concerned about it because it ended up they ended up moving the children to another school and providing an extra teacher. Did not understand why one of the schools is a CSI school, put additional stress in that building when you could have accommodated it at another building. So I really want you to take a look at that, because I just think that the supports that exist at Finley are second to none, with the access, with the Arts Museum, the Saba and the other things. And I'm really glad to see that you're taking another look at that, because I do think that the additional stress on our CSI school was not necessary. We do. Okay, so with that being said, no additional hands. Okay, a motion to accept the minutes from our previous meeting. Hands up, please, so I can see. I have Terrence Hurd and second by Jennifer McCousey. With that said, go forward. Let's see. Now is the time for our committee reports, and I am going today to ask us to limit our committee reports to 5 minutes. If you have to go over 5 minutes, we need to talk about it, because it's a summary, is what it is, and I hope I'm not offending anyone by recommending that. And if I am, please let me know. But I think we can do it within 5 minutes. This is your elevator speech, so to speak, okay? All right, so who wants to go first with the committee reports? See anyone excited? Okay, we're gonna start with Dr. Kathy Evans Brown.
Okay, I don't have,
Last
a
meeting.
formal, can you hear me?
Yes.
I don't have a formal committee report on the reopening sub ad hoc committee, only because I've been active in the district's reopening committee. Between Dr. Ann Rivera and myself, we've been doing tag team attending those meetings. So right now I don't have anything formal. We're going to continue the process as we've been doing it.
Okay, so your last committee meeting, do you have anything to share with the board on that? Or would you like to come back to that, for me to come back to you on that?
I'm prepared because I sat in for about 15 minutes and then Ann took over the rest of the meeting. Basically, it was an update with deciding how to go forward with the different entities in remote learning. The meetings will continue, even though we started school September 8th, those meetings will continue with the chairmanship of Dr. Brown Hall. At that last meeting, I'm going to swing it over to Ann because, like I said, I only sat in for 15 minutes.
You know, I think Kathy Evans Brown, Mrs. Cotman is talking about your student achievement work session that was held. Just an update about your student achievement work session where Tanja Williams, Dr. Fatima Morel, and Ann Botticelli presented.
Thank you for that reminder. That just happened last week, right? It felt like it's been a month, but nevertheless, nevertheless, we started, I thought it was important to start the first student achievement meeting with how instructional work would look like for our district, particularly our children who have experienced trauma, who have experienced the lack of social emotional learning, experience just quarantine, all of us have. And so just to start out with looking at kinds of things were impacting our country, not just in Buffalo, but the country worldwide. Many of our kids have experienced deaths, COVID-19, whether it was friends and or family members. Many of our kids have seen the killing of George Floyd on television. Very concerning. It's concerning to us as adults, as you can imagine a little person actually seeing that. And so, and before you can get into any real learning as far as academics, we thought that putting that team together as we did last week was critical to start the school year off. And as you know, many of the parents and guardians and grandparents talked about the effect of the good work under Dr. Cash and Dr. Fatima Morel, that it did make a difference, and it is making a difference. You're always going to have the naysayers that may not agree, because change is different. When you start something different that never happened in a district, you're going to have naysayers that say, oh no, we don't want this. We're not used to this kind of thing. But get used to it. This is the new norm. This is how it's going to be for some time, and nobody have any definitive recollection of when that's going to end. So let's get used to the change, because it's important for every student, not just Black students, but every student. So that's why that was done.
Thank you. Dr. Ann Rivera, is there anything that you'd like to add on to that or report out at this point?
For the reopening?
Well, for the committee work that ad hoc work you've been doing with your, you have the floor now.
Okay, so the reopening committee met right before school started. We discussed a lot of what people have already seen roll out. There was some work still planning to be done regarding grading and special meetings, and there will be continued meetings for the reopening committee to discuss what happens after the 4 to 6 weeks. I believe that there will be a plan to do that soon. I'd like to hear a timeline eventually when the district's ready, but it sounds like that's part of what Dr. Cash was ready to talk to us about soon.
Thank you. Do you have any thing to report on CPAC for us?
Yes, I do. I do have information regarding CPAC. So CPAC has been meeting. They're pulling together activities as well as continued outreach for parents. They're reinventing their bylaws to make it even more open and to include more parents. And they're looking forward to being supportive for parents as they move forward. They will be pulling together lists of trainings for parents on education, special education topics, and they'll be continuing to do outreach. They have a Facebook Workplace page now for people to join to be a part of it. And I look forward to the things that they'll be doing as they move forward. The last thing I do want to say is that CPAC really does mourn the loss of one of our members. We'll make mention of her later, but I'd like to just personally make mention of her. Yasmin Young will be very, very missed.
Thank you so much. We're sorry to hear that about Jasmine Young. She has been active for a long time. Thank you. If that concludes your report, we're going to move on. Paulette Woods, Board Member Woods, do you have anything to share with the board on your committee?
Yes, I do. The Finance and Ops Committee had a presentation from our CFO, Jeff Pritchard, and he went over the budget and he spoke on the 20% withholding of New York State revenues by Governor Cuomo and its potentially disastrous effect on Buffalo Public Schools budget. He gave us a very thorough presentation. It was very concerning. The board also addressed in the Finance and Ops Committee that we wanted a comprehensive review of grant funding and staff changes in the grant and a review of vacancies in those positions, and also a method of board notification, a possible layoffs, so that the board can review the impact on our priorities such as equity, the CLR program. Two of our committees are dedicated, one to maintaining our financial stability. We did meet with Barbara Miller-Williams, the controller, and we continue to meet in the Revenue Enhancement Committee to meet to stabilize and secure our fund balance, because it was clearly presented that we need to every dollar of our fund balance. The committee being the expense of charters on our budget. I believe you'll be presented with a resolution from Larry later on that, but those are our critical issues: minimizing our expense, securing our revenue, and coming up with a plan to maintain quality education for all of these budget cuts and trying times.
Much. Next up, and I don't want to put anyone on the spot, so I'm going to ask questions. Terrence Hurd, next up.
I'll take it. Hey, we had a very robust committee meeting for educational support. One of the things that we talked about was instructional remote learning presentation. We had a group of our students that came along and actually presented and about remote learning, the how to use remote learning. They gave a demonstration to the board and also to other parents that was watching, how to use remote learning, how to access get access codes for their teaching within the classroom, and also all the way into the programs that's available through Schoology that they'll be accessing and using, and Microsoft Teams. Also, this was presentation was possible by Anna Betticelli and Dr. Tanja Williams, who who worked very hard on this program about remote learning, and we're looking soon, possibly soon, to phase in to in-person learning or hybrid type learning. So this is very important right now in our district and our parents to make sure that they get a handle on this of remote learning. We also talked about distribution of tablets. We had parents picking up tablets last week for their kids, and so that make sure all the parents that receive tablets that they can. And we also revised that classes K through 1 will be picking up their tablets in late September, and so that those students also and the teachers can be accustomed in using the tablets. For those parents also, we might have to look into possibly looking for another training exercise or using our social media platform for the use of the tablet for the parents in kindergarten through first grade. We also talked about a couple of services that was available for parents, and the second part of it was the implications of the code of conduct during COVID-19. This was presented by Dr. Williams, a lot of work that Keith Frisk has worked on. And generally, we talked about the code of conduct, and we talked about how we can utilize it and how it'll be used, and that it's a project in work right now that the district will later on present. But we want to make sure that we current with the code of conduct and it applies to this new situation. We all know that the COVID-19 invasions into our community and our countries, across the world has changed the dynamics of how we look at things and how we teach. So that's one thing we have to re-examine the way that we utilize the code of conduct and add things to it so that we can address the code of conduct issues that we're facing. We talked about discussion for a robust communication with parents. This is very important. It was discussion that we had along the board members and the superintendent, administrative staff about possible future communication with parents. How do we communicate with parents? As we heard today, we have a lot of parents with many concerns that goes on within teaching, within the code of conduct. We have concerns about positive and negative concerns about the CLRI project, working with Black Lives Matter and the 1619 project. So these type of things are very encouraging, and I heard a slew of very good things with this program Dr. Fatima Morel put together and for the district. And I think it's a very, very great, robust and great learning experience for everyone, for every culture, and it's intended to address every culture so that our children can get a better education than what I have, and our goal as a board is to make sure that, we tell the children the truth and they be very knowledgeable about our customs and other customs also. The indigenous people of America and other foreigners that comes into America, so that the truth can be heard and taught within our districts. And one person said earlier that they can take pride, in their religion, their culture, and look at the possibilities as a mirror aspect and as a window aspect. The last thing that we talked about, it kind of relates with the athletic ad hoc committee, and we did a brief update on the research. So I will take this over to the athletic ad hoc committee, and what we talked about was the formation of a modified sports program for the city of Buffalo. Currently, it's myself as the chairman, Lou Petrucci, and Jennifer McCosey, and President Belton Common has been working on a plan for modified sports here in Buffalo. It's been very, very detailed. We put a lot of time and research into the modified sports program, and we're looking to address some of the concerns that we have about lack of sports that's in our early ages and children that's in the grades 7, 8th, and also we're looking to address the 6th grade. Give me 1 second. I will loop the paperwork here. some of the things that we addressed with the modified sports program. We looked at some of the programs that's being presented with the Section 6, as in like badminton, baseball, basketball, bowling, cross country, field hockey, football, golf, gymnastics, ice hockey, soccer, lacrosse, skiing. There are many other sports, volleyball, track, and wrestling. But we also look to incorporate a couple other sports that we looked into that's very familiar within our community. Some sports is dance. We also looked into STEP programs. We also looked into the possibility of having dance. It was dance, STEP. Let's see, give me one moment. We also drill team. Drill team was a big influence here in our community, so we're looking into that. We have a lot of community partners that help write this program, and we can give a better update later. But for now, we just want to simplify it just by saying that we've met weekly on planning on this, and we're happy that Dr. Cash, after the presentation, is willing to work with the district and for district personnel to try to achieve these goals. So that concludes my report. And
Vice President Petrucci.
Thank you, President Kottman. Just a few things because we were cut off for a while, so I don't know what was discussed. I don't want to be duplicative, but also, I have been working closely with members Woods and Hurd about both the Finance and Ops and Executive Affairs and with the Ad Hoc Athletic Committee, which they both reported out on. I had the opportunity to participate in a Zoom call about the Farm to School program, about getting farm fresh produce to our students, which is important, which is of a high value, particularly at this time as more and more families have come to rely on the district to, in whole or part, help provide their nutrition. So that's good. I'm glad that we are continuing to distribute foods and meals to these families that need it. I did, along the same lines, I just stopped by Discovery earlier today to see how the food distribution was going. There were people waiting in line. To be honest, I thought that there would be more people. There wasn't as many as I anticipated. The other thing too is that I know that Larry's going to address this later as well. But the New York State School Boards Association has a resolution committee. This is when they bring particular topics to the body as a whole for voter discussion, then they put their resources behind them. The deadline for the district to file any more resolutions is this Friday at 5:30, and I believe Larry might have something, don't want to steal his thunder, but he might have something for us. Along the same lines, I'm getting calls from parents about the reopening. I know I mentioned at the executive affairs session that we had earlier. I know many of my fellow board members are as well. I just want to talk a little bit too about CLRI and the Black Lives Matters curriculum. I did receive some phone calls about it. The phone calls that though I'm receiving aren't so much that the parents all seem to preface their remarks with the same types of comments that they want to have these conversations, that these are good conversations to have, that's going to make the district a better place, that they try to teach their kids properly. But a lot of the comments that I'm getting are more along the lines about they want more inclusion in the process, or they felt that there should be more emphasis on Hispanic or Native or Asian culture and the contributions that they've made to the United States and the district and our history as well. So that was part of it. Parents wish they could have been part of the process a little bit more. There were some questions about when an appropriate age is, and some students that were concerned that by teaching this somehow that schools would become less safe because they associated particularly Black Lives Matters with protest, or that somehow there'd be disruptions in the schools, and that isn't true. Dr. Morell has been very good. We've been working I've been presenting these to Dr. Morell, who's been reaching out to families to address their individual concerns. So I want to give a shout out to Dr. Morell. She's been very responsive, and I know that she's been contacting these families that have raised concerns to me as well. So I just want to kind of put that on the table as well. That concludes my report, Madam President.
Thank you, Vice President Petrucci. Moving forward, Mr. Scott, have anything to report out? I don't want to put people on the spot. Jennifer, I'm not sure if you want to report out anything today that on your mind. Hope Jay as well. If there's anything else that you guys want to report out at this point in regards to some of the work that you're doing in conjunction with either your ad hocs or at this point. If not, we can save it for later on in the business meeting when we have open session. It's your call.
I'll wait until the end when I present my late item.
Problem. Jen?
Okay, I have really nothing to report. Most of it's about already.
And Board Member Hope J?
Thanks. I don't have anything to report either. Thank you.
Okay, so I do want to say in regards to the bullying initiative that I hope you've been involved in that over the years. There is a month, I think it is April, like to possibly see if as a board we can do initiatives around bullying for that entire month, because and I'm not sure exactly, I think it is April, to possibly Member Hope J, to see what type of ideas we can come up with to make sure about bullying during that month in a big way. So we've got enough time to start working it.
Is Tanja Williams on this at the meeting right now? Like, I don't know if she's here. Is she on the call?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So I'll reach out to Tanja about that.
I just want us to take advantage of what's going on nationally with our children. I think also in that month, cyber is a part of it, as well as other items. So let's move forward with that. Is there anyone else whose mind has anything to share? I just want to share briefly with the board that I am working with a STEM organization who is seeking funding for us to try to expand STEM into our district in a big way. And so hopefully, based on this week's meetings, toward the end of the week, we may have some great news to share with the superintendent and the district as far as funds provided to help us with the STEM initiative. I'm looking forward to a conversation with that. I have received calls in regards to the change in curriculum, and most of them have been very positive. I will be responding to every email that was sent to me in regards to this, and we'll move forward. But with that, with all minds clear, the committee reports set, let's move forward to our consent agenda. May I have a motion to accept our consent agenda?
So moved.
Woods and Lou Petrucci. Thank you. Lou, and second by Paulette. Thank you. Okay, so the items that I have, and if there are others, please let me know. I have currently item 9B for Terrence Hurd. 9B is, let's see.
Actually, it's 9. I just want to briefly state that I read over the personnel and the personnel changes, personnel affairs with instructional personnel changes, the civil service personnel changes, and administrative board changes. And I can't tell, I don't want to speculate, but this is from the names of the new personnel or the personnel changes that we have within the district. I didn't see enough diversity being hired, and I know that it's a huge issue among our district about finding diversity hires or transfers within our district, and finding credible people who want to come work up here in the cold Buffalo in the north. But I would like to have a conversation with the superintendent of possibly forming a diversity task force to try to find different ways or different measures, or look at other cities and districts and how they try to hire more diversity within the school districts. And I know that this district had gone far, as far as Jamaica, and to look for diversity teachers who can actually relate to some of the population that's here. In the city of Buffalo, we have over 85 different languages that represent Buffalo Public Schools, and that represent some of our challenges. So we can try or possibly form a task force. I know the Department of CLRI has been working diligently with it with Dr. Fatima Morel and Dr. Tanja Williams, and also we have Jamie Warren, who's been working with us with human resources. But I just think that if we can maybe get some type of expert advice from somewhere else, or reach out to some other universities, that we can try to close the gap on some of these concerns. I know, like I said, the district has been working hard on it in the past, but I just don't see much diversity as far as new hires.
Okay, thank you for that. What I'd like to say in regards to that is one of the things that I am holding the community accountable to is the fact that if we, in order for us to be able to hire people, okay, I saw that, Hope. In order for us to be able to find people or hire people, we need references and we need the conversation. And so this is a national issue. It is just not unique to Buffalo. And I did not go into education. I went into business. And so I'll take some responsibility for a shortage with me, but it is a responsibility of the entire community to help us with that. We cannot do it alone. And so let's see how, if people have quality people to refer them in, and let's see what we can do. But in fairness to our staff, it's tight out here.
It is.
Yes.
President Cottman?
Yes.
I'm sorry for interrupting, but at one point the board had an inclusion committee who worked on a variety of these issues about trying to get a workforce that reflects the city of Buffalo. And we had a variety of different initiatives that were going on to try and address this particular situation. I chaired it at one point. I'd be more than willing to share the work and what we did and what we were able to achieve.
That's nice. Would you do it at your next committee meeting?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to.
Okay. All right. Okay, Mr. Hurd, did you have something else you were trying to say?
Yeah, I was thinking that the district, we also possibly could have a program within our own district, to teaching kids how to become teachers. You know, there's some minority kids or kids might want to be influenced to teach, as a career. And maybe we can have some type of work towards that goal.
Would that be similar to the future teacher program we already have at McKinley High School? Something like that, you would think?
Yes. I really need to know more about the program, how many kids that were involved in the program, or do parents?
You know what I'm just thinking, President Cottman? That might be the best way to start, is to ask Dr. Cash to list the myriad of things that we have done to increase diversity in the district and figure out, with what Mr. Petrucci is going to present at his work session, and for us to present everything that we've done. Like Mr. Hurd mentioned, the trips HR has taken to Puerto Rico, the advertising we've done at historically Black colleges and universities. I think that would be the best way to do it. And then we can try to merge what Mr. Petrucci is doing and then come up with a plan so that you can see everything we have in place now and what we've been doing for it. Wouldn't you agree, President Cottman?
I think that's a starting point, and certainly to know what the board did in the past. I'm very interested in that. I'm also interested in knowing if there are any community partners interested in assisting us with relocation fees to help us relocate people who want to come into this area also. So that's another area that we can look into, because I think that would be a challenge for most people. Moving forward, let's go into 11B. I have Mr. Petrucci and...
Wait, Ms. President Cottman, Mr. Scott has a question.
Hi, Mr. Scott. I have the screen up and I'm not able to see. My bad, please.
All right. For clarification, I think I heard Mr. Hurd say that he is questioning the diversity of these hires and it based on their names. Do we have actual information on their racial background? Because I'm just pulling it up, and one thing I think it's important to note is that all of these hires, if I'm looking at the same list, live in the city of Buffalo. So I think before we make make judgments, we should have accurate information on the diversity of these hires?
We had talked about doing that at one time, having a report once a month that talks to us about who's the board, who was hired, and what capacities, what the I don't know, the racial makeup was, and I think legal at that point cautioned us on that, and when we talk about this at Mr. Petrucci's committee, let's talk about it. Let's talk about what the board would like to see to sort of get an understanding of that. And so we need to find a legal perspective on that as well. Things like that, we have to be very careful.
We need to clarify for the public, though, that it's not an accurate conclusion that this group of hires is not diverse. It potentially isn't, but we don't know with certainty that it isn't diverse.
Good point. And I really think that we're treading on sacred grounds here. Yes, Mr. Hurd.
Let me reinstate that. I started off by saying that I don't want to speculate or try to draw a conclusion, but from the different arrays of names that I see, that it's possible that that we have a lack of diversity and inclusion. I said, I don't know, but I would like to see the statistics on it also. I know that this district does very well, and this district tries very hard to have inclusion, and I'm well aware of that. And this is no means a punch at the district, but I'm saying that I would like to just re-examine, our hiring practices and see what we can do to try to get more inclusion. Okay. That was my statement, Mr. Scott.
So I think we can open up that conversation in a big way. And I am interested in seeing the training that the interviewers have. Is one thing to someone in a position to interview, another conversation as to have they even been trained on the process. So I'm really looking forward to opening that one up. I think it's a big one. So Mr. Petrucci, I'm sorry I missed you. Hope J, I just saw your email. I'm going to bring it up after we finish this section. Mr. Petrucci and Mr. Hurd for 11B, community-based organizations.
Terrence, you want to go first?
Yes, actually, Mr. Petrucci and I spoke about this in person, when in private. But we have, I've just had concerns like a company, Best Self. It seems that they've been employed for 1 year, and I know that doing some research on them, they have social workers, and they have look like in 6 different locations around Buffalo, 4 in the city of Buffalo and 2 on the outside, and they do supply internships. But I see that they're part of this package and received over around $370,000. And I'd like to know what type of work would they be doing in our community, and how would they be working with our community schools? What schools would they be working with? So I know we probably can't give all the answers right now, but if the district can possibly afford those answers to me, so I can get a little better understanding what Best Self company would be doing and how they'd be working with our community schools. Thank you.
And Mr. Hurd, I'll be able to get that information to you. Actually, on the board rec, if you look at the board rec, at the end of each of those fund numbers, because the fund numbers identify the school, at the end of each of the fund numbers, where you see BS, that means Best Self. So those are the schools that Best Self will be working in. And I can't remember what their name was prior to Best Self, because they've been in the district for a while. I know Best Self is their new name, but I can let you know what they'll be doing with the community schools, because they host the virtual community schools. They started that when we went completely virtual in the spring, and they'll be continuing that in the fall. So I'll be able to send to you and the board some of the examples of some of the virtual activities that they do with the students in the community schools on the weekends, okay?
Okay. Yeah, it seemed like they had a very robust program, but it seems they, listed as only 1 year in business. It seemed kind of compelling, to ask the question, what can they actually offer? they was in business 1 year. But if you said they had a name change, to get better understanding of reflect the time.
Yep, you're right. They've been in the district a while. Mr. Scott is trying to say something.
Child and Adolescent Treatment Services, they were previously under.
Right.
And through the county. And they've been around for years. They provide an array of services and supports, intensive mental health support, psychiatric support to students across the county, across the city. They provide a range of services through our community schools. I've seen nothing but excellent, superb work from Beth South and what was previously Child and Adolescent Treatment Services.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Petrucci, do you have anything to add on that?
I do. Just my concern was that in the South District where I'm located, we have two community-based organizations. One's run out of South Side, the other's out of South Park. But there's a large section of my district that isn't really covered. I was just wondering if there's a way we can increase this to have a CBO somewhere down in the Ward or the Valley or Seneca Babcock, Kaiser, Ghost Town, like one of the other neighborhoods that I represent.
Mr. Petrucci, I sent you an email. I know it was kind of late when I got that question, but just to be clear, these CBOs that are listed here are just for the community schools. However, there's two community schools in your district, South Park and South Side, but it's for that entire community. It's not just for students that attend those schools. And again, these CBOs are only in our community schools. It's not the CBOs that may operate at other schools, but this is community school specific for this board rec.
Thank you, Dr. Brown-Hall. It just said many of my parents have transportation issues, and oftentimes they could avail themselves of their services at their other locations. That was just the point that I was trying to make.
I understand.
Good point. I'd like to bring up my concern about the community-based organizations and the contracts. When the community schools were being formulated, the ideal behind that was to make sure that community organizations were able to benefit from these community-based contracts. And where I've been told that they do utilize certain people for certain things, I want to take a deeper look into that in our Finance and Ops Committee to find out how we can make it easier or to assist our minority women business enterprises so that they can participate in this. What's happening now is that an agency has to go, community-based organization has to go through through one of these organizations in order to get paid. And when I looked at the EEO, and I wish you would bring that up, the EEO mix, I only found two that really were reflective of our school district. Two had very few Hispanics, very few Asians, and very few African Americans that were employed proportionately so. And so I think as we move forward, we need to start having some expectations from these organizations if they're going to work within our schools, that they start hiring people that mirror our students. That's my editorial comment. Jennifer Macuzzi, you have something you'd like to share.
I think I'm gonna, because it doesn't really fall under this, but it does. I'm gonna share it a little later. I just wanted to bring up a concern, but it's more around Say Yes than the community schools.
Okay.
So I'll bring it up later for sure. Don't let me forget.
Thank you, I won't. Mr. Hurd, you have 17B.
Yes, 17B, reading through the, reading through the contract, it said that that they was gonna have job placement. And I would like to, is there a report for the job placement? And is there did they submit that to the district, and can we view it for the placement that they did in the past? I see they've been working with the district a number of years, and I'd just like to see who do they place and how do they get placed as part of the contract.
Okay, that's something to be had, an executive under educational support.
Ms. President Cotman, we do have Rob Harris, who is our director of CTE, on the line, and maybe he can let us know if that report we can send to the board. Rob?
Good evening, board. Good evening, Superintendent and President Potman. I just want to explain that this is a 7-year program where we start off with a planning year. We are currently in our 7th year. Students haven't graduated from the college yet in order to be put in line to apply for the positions. Currently, though, this vendor is providing internships for our students at the prevailing wage. So they're actually working on his site with them since they graduated from school before they attend Alfred State College. These young men will be going on to Alfred State College, and he's already talking about having them come back during their downtime during the summer months. And then he's probably going to offer them employment because he enjoys what they have done since they have been working with him in their internship program.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. So it's a 7-year program and we're in year 7 and no children have finished college yet. Is that what I heard you say?
That is correct. The first group of students will be graduating sometime by the summer of 21.
Okay, thank you. All right.
And I'm sorry, and when I say graduating, they're graduating from Alfred State College, not from our school. They're connected to Alfred State College, so they're finishing up Alfred State College, and then they will be offered positions once they graduate.
Well, we're going to be looking forward to see how that pans out. I hope. Okay. All right. Can we move forward to 18C, Mr. Hurd?
Thank you, Mr. Harris. The only thing with 18C I was looking at is I didn't see a bidders list attached to it. We have a group of minority farmers that's working with our district. I know the RFP went out for it, and I don't know if they submitted anything for it. I was like, but I did tell them that it was an RFP that was out. So I'm not sure if they put in the bid or not. But we do have a group of minority farmers that works here in food co-ops here in the city of Buffalo. And I see that Wegmans got the whole piece for this project. And I know I shop at Wegmans all the time, and that's my favorite store here in Buffalo. And they had the freshest food and produce. But we also have.
Thank you for the editor. Thank you for the commercial.
Well, we also have minority farmers here that's struggling also. That's also do food co-ops within the city of Buffalo, and I like to see if they can also have a bid or just to give notice about the bids for this type of project.
Mr. Hurd, if you get us, we will definitely work with Rick Fanton, our Director of Purchase, to make sure that they receive the bids when they come out. I know we distribute it to 15 individuals and we make those bids public, the RFPs public. We received only one bid for this on the board rec. I reviewed the board rec, and if you see, it lists the number of bids, and there was only one. Wegmans was the only one that bid on this. But we can work with Rick Fanton to see if there's a way and to make sure that the minority farmers are receiving these RFPs when they're.
This is the wrong RFP that's listed here. I'm not sure what happened. Okay. So 19C also, Mr. Hurd.
19C, after reading through it, I'd like to see what real estate property was acquired. It didn't state what property was acquired in this bill.
Thanks, Mr. Hurd. This is Nate Kuzma. No real estate has been acquired, but as you recall, last December, the board authorized the district to pursue the purchase of the plot of land across from City Honors,
yes,
commonly known as Fosdick Maston Field. So I began working with a specialist in commercial real estate to begin working on that transaction. And at that point, COVID-19 hit and things shut down. So that project is stalled for the time being. So we have not yet acquired that property, but if and when, things clear out in terms of COVID and we revisit that project, we'll have to make a determination as to whether it's still a priority to pursue that. So that's what it's in regard to. And at this point, we haven't acquired anything.
Thank you, Attorney Kuzma.
All right, next up is Jennifer McCuzy with question on 21B.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, President Chapman. So my question was just basically on our strategy in order to disperse this great donation across the board. I know it's for PPE, but I also, now that we're really looking at things in a different light than we have in the past, especially where athletics is concerned and where equipment sometimes it, not been dispersed very equitably across the district. I was just wondering, how we're going to go about this, and can we, are you looking to see who needs more than others and then working from there, or is it just going to be a distribution across every school in the same kind of manner? This many teams, many coaches, this is what they get, and it's something that's just par across the board. I'm just wondering, is it a par thing, or are we looking to make sure everybody's kind of at the same level with what they have and bring people up to an equitable level with their equipment before we disperse anything else that's coming out? Or is this just for very specific items?
Yeah, this is for mask, the same things we have in the school. Right, it's for the PPE, for the athletes, coaches, officials, the athletic trainers, and things like that. When we do start sports, looking towards the spring, if that is a possibility, because we know the fall is not. And when we do begin sports in the spring, we will make sure it is done with the equity overlay in the equitable manner.
Now, I appreciate that. I'm not saying it wouldn't be. I'm not accusing the district of not. I'm just making sure that,
You want that reassurance. I get it.
Just strategy on how we go about it moving forward, because it's a new day all the way down the line. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions on this agenda before we vote? Oh, if not, Mr. Kuzman, poll our board, please.
Yes, on the consent agenda, how do you vote, Dr. Kathy Evans Brown?
No exceptions.
Mr. Hurd?
No exceptions.
Ms. J?
No exceptions.
Ms. McCosey?
No exceptions.
Mr. Petrucci?
No exceptions.
Dr. Rivera?
No exceptions.
Mr. Scott?
No exceptions.
Ms. Woods?
Ms. Woods is no longer on the call. I'm not sure where she's at right now.
President Belton Cottman?
Absence.
I couldn't hear you, President Belton Cottman.
Exceptions.
No exceptions, okay. Consent agenda passes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so board members, we do have a couple other things we need to talk about. Need to know if Mr. Kuzman, if you recommend we go into executive session now, or should we just for our last part of our meeting today?
I suggest you deal with, I think there's a resolution that was mentioned. Perhaps you finish that. Anything else before we close?
Okay, why don't we do that? Okay, because I was looking for it and I didn't see it. Is Mr. Scott asked the board to take a look at a resolution that you have crafted? Could you share it with our listening audience and board members? In order to pass this and move it forward, we need to first take a vote on allowing it to be discussed at the table. So in order to do so, I need a supermajority. Get a motion to adjust our agenda to allow this resolution. Paulette Woods has first and Jennifer McCousy has seconded. Okay, with that said, Mr. Scott? I'm sorry, a vote. Is there any objections to this moving forward? We have none. Okay, so Mr. Scott, would you share with us your resolution?
Thank you, President Kottman. And I just want to thank the board members that many of you I spoke to over the past few days about this resolution. Some of you provided some input on it. And I think it's a very compelling resolution. It's a very necessary resolution at this time. We're at a breaking point, both for our district schools and for our current charter schools in Buffalo. And therefore, because I think this is an important, compelling resolution, I'm going to read through it. It's going to take some time, but I want the public to be clear on the rationale for the resolution. So it's the resolution on district and charter school sustainability in the city of Buffalo, sponsored by President Kottman, Vice President of Student Achievement, Kathy Evans Brown, Mr. Terrence Hurd, Dr. Ann Rivera, Ms. Hope J., Ms. Jennifer McCousy, and Ms. Paulette Woods. Whereas New York State Legislature enacted the charter school statute in 1998, and whereas since the statute was enacted, the Buffalo City School District has worked enthusiastically and supportively with charter school partners across our city, and whereas our commitment to school choice for parents was notably demonstrated when in 2003, as permitted in the school charter statute at the time, the district sponsored and authorized Enterprise Charter School, whereas the district went further in 2004 by converting public school number 68 into Westminster Charter School, again establishing a new standard nationally for embracing school choice for parents. Whereas now with the creation of community schools in state law, the Buffalo City School District stands second to none in delivering the broadest array of schooling options for discerning parents who want the best education and services for their children. Whereas by 2019, however, the Board of Education became increasingly concerned that its tradition of openness to support new startup or expanded charters was becoming unsustainable for a variety of key reasons. Namely, number one, the district now had 78% of its schools designated in good standing, meaning that new charter schools were no longer essential to fulfilling an unmet need in Buffalo. Number two, annual New York State Foundation aid increases approved in the state budget were coming in one door of the district and going out entirely to funding increased charter school tuition costs. Three, a looming teacher shortage had accelerated nationally and in Buffalo as public schools, both traditional and charter, raced to hire a diminishing number of certified teachers, at times sacrificing the demand for quality in the classroom all parents expect. Four, 26 of our 60 traditional public schools became community schools, eliminating almost altogether any unmet need in the Buffalo Public Schools. Five, the enrollment rate of charter students in the city of Buffalo surpassed 20%, although the 98 statute stipulated a maximum 5% rate unless significant unneed met was established by the application or the district consented to the charter application. And whereas it is now clear that funding new charter school seats and expanding or startup charter schools directly results in underfunding and damaging the education of traditional public school students, whereas growing BPS expenditures to charters will amount to approximately $153 million in the 2021 budget, $138 million in tuition, and $15 million in other services. Whereas new charter school approvals and expansions are now pitting one set of students against another, with traditional public school students disproportionately and negatively impacted by having state aid increases set aside to fund newly approved or expanded charter schools. Whereas the city of Buffalo has now reached its breaking point, the New York State Board of Regents and the SUNY Charter School Institute can no longer saturate the city of Buffalo with more and more charter schools without children in other public schools, both traditional and charter, paying an unacceptable price and a harmful teacher shortage, reduction in services and supports, and unwarranted redundancy. Whereas affirmative votes cast by the Board of Regents members and SUNY Charter School Institute trustees approving these charter school applications will cause the children of the Buffalo City School District to face unrecoverable harm to their notably improving education in traditional public schools. And whereas the Buffalo Board of Education has conducted public hearings on the proposed charter school applications, reviewed their school designs, and determined that the proposed applications do not fulfill an unmet need in the Buffalo City School District. And whereas the Buffalo City School District maintains ample available seats in both elementary schools in good standing and in distinct secondary school programs that serve students who have withdrawn from schooling or are at risk of doing so. Therefore, be it resolved that the Buffalo Board of Education in agreement requests that the following pending charter school applications be denied as a result of the considerations expressed herein. Number 1, Buffalo Commons Charter School. Number 2, Ellington Preparatory Charter School. Number 3, Learn for Life Charter School. And number 4, Royal Academy of Buffalo Charter School. And lastly, be it additionally resolved that the Buffalo Board of Education authorizes the superintendent of schools to commence legal proceedings in order to fully and comprehensively remedy the demonstrated harm to students enrolled in the Buffalo City School District as a result of the saturation of charter schools in our community beyond the limits established in the original charter school statute of 1998.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. I just have some clarity here. Why wasn't it listed as submitted by Larry Scott to the board so that he can take credit for the great work that he did in putting this together? Can somebody give me a clarity on that?
I defer to Mr. Scott.
Mr. Scott,
well, I had it introduced from all of us. I suppose it could be amended to say introduced by myself.
Submitted, yeah, submitted or, introduced by you and something. I just want, you put a lot of work into that, and it's a very well written document. And I just want, granted, it appears that the board is unanimous in that. Would you like to have, is there any board members that would like to, have an open discussion in regards to this, or did that, what Mr. Scott put together, was that a mouthful and that was enough for all of us? Any additional comments? Yes, Mr. Petrucci.
Thank you. I think it accurately, Board Member Scott's resolution accurately reflects, in my humble opinion, so many concerns that the board has raised, and about our concerns going forward and the impact of the never-ending stream of charter schools is having upon our district. The only other comment I wanted to add also is that I just sometimes see Albany speaking out of both sides of its mouth. They want districts to consolidate, and they want fewer and fewer school districts, but at the same time, they're allowing charter schools to increase without limit. And it causes a duplication of services and a drain upon existing districts. I just think it's disingenuous, to say the least.
That's a mouthful. Well, said what I had to say earlier in regards to that, and I am working with the Big Five on an initiative in regards to this. It appears that Buffalo is open season. Right? We're just here for the picking, is what it is. And we have, if I remember the last count, 4 charter schools of upwards of 20 plus that are functioning at a level, and they do not, and most of them do not even have a high percentage of African American children in there. Else are students with English as a second language or special ed. So the disproportionality is real, and that has to stop. And we have to, as a district, start holding them accountable for the public money that they receive, the public tax dollars that they receive, annual basis without any accountability. I have a board member, I have a hand up for Jennifer, board member Makuzi, and I'm not sure where the other hand is. I can't see it. Terrence Hurd, thank you.
So I just wanted to clarify because I went through the names and unless I missed it, I didn't see Lou's name. Is this unanimous? Didn't see Mr. Petrucci's name. Was it a misprint or?
Oh.
Well, we'll have to take a vote. Everyone will get the vote when the vote comes.
Okay, I just, I when you had said unanimous, I was like, okay, and he seemed as
Thought
though
it
he
was
supported.
unanimous. I stand corrected.
I think it's a misprint, but I just wanted to point out I didn't see his name and maybe I didn't look at it close enough, but just take a look and make sure.
Harry, what do you say? Oh.
I'm sorry, she's saying.
Requiring as to how come you're not listening.
No, just so everyone knows that I was conducting the hearing for the charter school. As such, I thought I wanted to hear what the charter school had to say. I didn't want to prejudge anything. That was the reason why I asked not to be included as a sponsor, to have something that had my name before we had conducted the final hearing. I wanted to give Royal Charter, the right, the ability to make a presentation, but I am going to vote for it, Jennifer. I just didn't include myself for that reason.
I just didn't know if it was a misprint.
That's why it's a late item on the agenda, colleagues, because I think the board needed to hear from that charter school first before you even considered this. So
absolutely, that's what
now it's on the table. That's absolutely correct, Mr. Petrucci.
Mr. Hurd?
I'm getting reports from charter schools that even charter schools are struggling right now in retention of students because of the rise of other charter schools and them pulling not only from the Buffalo public schools, from other charter schools, pulling students from them. So it's became a huge battle and affected our district immensely. And even the words that Larry put down it doesn't reflect, the punishment that's coming to our district and to our kids that's seated in our school buildings. And the best, I see the last paragraph about legal action is very important as we move forward. And I always stated that, that's the way to go because if this continues, we need to take a larger stand. We need to take a harder stand on what our future is going to be for our kids and constantly a pull from our budget. And how that's affecting our kids and seating and affecting our programs and teachers and hiring. I think that we really need as a district, as a board, to take a more prominent stand on legally to stop this charter school and support a cap here in Western New York and the city of Buffalo. And I think that cap has been overreach. I know that they consider a soft cap from my time in Albany. They call it a soft cap, but the soft cap is really ripping our district apart. And I appreciate Larry writing this.
And I guess what I have, Mr. Scott, is it a saturation or an oversaturation? That last paragraph, because when I look at what the original statute, if I remember right, we never were supposed to be more than 15 or 16 schools that were supposed to be charter. And now we're at the point where we are oversaturated with charters. And I'm being told that a lot of parents have moved their children into charters because they are open. But as we're seeing, the reports are coming in that the COVID attacking these buildings one by one, and all we need is to have one child lose their life behind adults making decisions, not making prudent decisions, and that would be a tragedy for all of us. So if all hands are down, there's no additional hands are up, right? Somebody didn't take their hand down. If all discussion is closed, can we move forward with going ahead and moving forward to accept this as a item that we will vote? Mr. Kuzman, I do need a second vote or not? Second motion
Yeah,
or
we'll
not?
actually need 2 votes. The first is just to put it on the table and vote on it. Because it's a late item, so we need 6.
Okay, so we did that. We had 6.
Okay, you had 6.
Vote
then
for
we can
that.
take a
Okay,
vote
so
on
go
the-
ahead. Move it forward for me, Nate, please. Thank you.
Okay, so let's
Are we making any amendments though, and do we have to have a motion to amend it?
I don't know if it's not substantive if we need to.
If you're,
It's just format.
Just format, okay. Mr. Kuzma?
Yeah, Nate?
That's fine. So if there's no objection to it being on the table from any board member, then we can move forward to a vote, a roll call vote on the resolution. And that will require 6 votes. Okay? So how do you vote on the resolution, Dr. Evans-Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
yes.
Ms. J?
Yes.
Ms. McCosey?
Yes.
Mr. Petrucci?
Yes.
Dr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Woods? And President Belton Common?
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution passes.
Hope J was kind enough to me. I hope, do you want to talk about it? What you researched since you've been here and what you discovered?
Yeah, well, after you mentioned that you thought that the National Anti-Bullying Prevention Month is coming up, it actually is starting in October. So I sent around an email to the board and to Dr. Cash. So, and to Dr. Williams, who she's the person that I've been working the most closely with in the cabinet on the anti-bullying task force initiative. So I know she's well aware of it. And I just would like to touch base with Dr. Williams to see what, if any, initiatives are planned for the district, and that we can publicize that and make sure that everybody is aware, from the board to the parent groups to administration to everyone. Darren, you look like you want to say something.
No. Oh, no.
I mean, perhaps this is something that's already been addressed and that we're just not aware of it. So I don't know, because it wasn't addressed with me, but I'm happy to be involved in any way that is helpful.
Hi, Board Member Jay. This is Dr. Williams.
Hello.
And we certainly, hi. We certainly will, of course, keep you informed. I've been working closely with Nicole Bicina and My Win, and we are planning a bunch of robust, whether they be virtual or face-to-face activities for the month of October, and I believe for November, but we are looking at moving it to November, doing some kind of a student forum, a student-led forum. So we certainly are, and we will share with you, where we are in that process.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So thank you. We're glad to see that, because bullying is a big issue, and we want to make sure our children are exposed and educated on that. So that's great. Okay, so board members, we do need to.
Comment?
I'm sorry.
I have one more lead item that should be quick. But before I get into that item, I just want to close out on the resolution. Staff are prepared to send this resolution not only to the Board of Regents, SUNY, but also to our city elected officials, our state delegation, as well as our federal delegation. And we'll also send it to the Conference of Big Five. The other item I wanted to just quickly introduce, I sent something, I think, yesterday. Mr. Petrucci serves on the, I think it's the legislative
resolution
committee for the New York State School Boards Association. And there's a resolution on there regarding charter schools. And after reading it, it only really addresses the charter school expansion in New York City and not elsewhere in New York. So we have an opportunity to submit a late resolution. It has to be submitted by Friday. And I'd like to read the resolution that I'd like to have submitted for us to consider voting on right now. It's very concise. Their resolutions are not very comprehensive, very concise. Mr. Kuzma, do I need a vote to also move this forward?
You will. You should read it first, and then before it's put on the table, we can take a vote as to whether the board wishes to put it on the table.
Okay. So resolved that the New York State School Boards Association support amending the New York State Charter School Statute from 1998, specifically the issuance of a charter school to cap charter school student enrollment at 10% of the total school district enrollment for a given year, and require new charter school and charter school expansion to be approved by the Board of Education of the district in which the charter school will be located when charter student enrollment exceeds 5% of the total school district enrollment.
Okay. All right. So board members, you've heard that. Can I have a motion to bring this to the table as a late item?
So move.
By Lou Petrucci. May I have a second, please? Second by Dr. Kathy Evans Brown. Would you like to have any comments or talk about it, a discussion in regards to this, or are you comfortable with moving straight to a vote? Please advise. No one has a comment on it?
No objection to having it on the table?
I'm sorry, no objection to having it on the table.
No objections.
No objection.
Hey, everyone's good with that? Okay, so Nate, next thing we do is bring it forward. No one has a conversation on it, a discussion on it, so we're forward with our vote.
Did you send out an email? I'm sorry. President, I mean, was this sent out as an email to us?
I sent the resolution that is currently before NISBA. I did not have an opportunity to send this proposed resolution by email. I just put it together before I came down for the meeting.
We'll get a copy of it. We'll have it sent over. Our secretaries can send it to us by tomorrow. No problem. Okay?
Okay.
Any further discussion, or would you like a vote, Madam President?
Like to move forward with the vote.
Okay. How do you vote on the resolution proposed by Mr. Scott, Dr. Kathy Evans Brown?
Dr. Evans Brown?
Technical difficulties, but yes.
Okay, no problem. I understand. Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Ms. J?
You're muted, Ms. J.
I unmuted. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I unmuted before. Yes.
Yes, okay. Ms. McCosey?
Yes.
Mr. Petrucci?
Yes.
Dr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Woods?
Yes.
And President Belton Common? President Common?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Resolution passes.
Okay, so you need before we're going to do our bereavement, our list of bereavements, and then we are going to move forward and we will go into executive session after that. So Mr. Petrucci?
Thank you, Madam President. Could we all stand for a moment of silence while I read the members of the district and related members who have passed away since our last meeting? Yasmin Young, who served on the CPAC committee for more than 20 years and represented the Ferry District. August 30th, Tina Giordano, typist in the Transportation Department, brother of Paul Giordano, typist at School 18. September 1st, Eddie Clavoon Sr., father of Eddie Clavoon, research aide in the Office of Federal and State Programs, and Catherine Clavoon in our Food Service Department. September 6th, Tina Lee Sally, daughter of Michelle Rodriguez, typist, Spanish speaking in our Adult Education Department. Let us hang our heads in a moment of silence. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Vice President Petrucci. Moving forward, we need to go into executive session. I need, may I have a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing the discipline of specific district employees. Mr. Hurd? Hurd, so moved, and Jennifer Marcuzzi second. Thank you. Any objections? Okay, thank you. All right, so we're going to come down so that a motion to authorize the superintendent per section 75 disciplinary charges against employee GD and appointment of Ann Ivanko, hearing officer, to preside over the case.
So moved.
Move Jennifer, second by Lou. Thank you. That's that being wrapped up. We have some unfinished business. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to vote. I'm sorry, my bad. I'm trying to wrap up, people. I'm sorry. Mr. Can you take a roll call vote, please?
Would you like a roll call vote? Give me one moment. How do you vote, Dr. Kathy Evans Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Ms. J?
Yes.
Ms. Marcuzzi?
Yes.
Mr. Petrucci? Yes. Dr. Rivera? Is that a yes?
Yes.
That's Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Woods?
Yes.
And President Belton Cobham? Okay, thank you. Motion passes.
Okay, so we can do our unfinished business section now. There are certain things that board members have asked me to bring up at the table. I'm not sure, is Dr. Cash still on the call, is available or not?
No, he is not. He had to be excused.
Has to be excused. Wants to talk about Darren, and I guess you're going to talk about Darren, and I guess you're going to have to fill in a gap. They want to talk about the action that was taken as far as suspend the fall program. My impression as of Monday that that decision had to be made by Tuesday. I'm finding out now that the decision did not have to be made by Tuesday. It could be made by today, which would have given this board time to and what Section 6 was doing. And so several board members have concerns about.
You mind if I sit over there?
No, please.
Means to our student body. So who wants to start? Jen, do you want to start?
Just for clarification, Mrs. Cotman, it is our understanding that that information had to be submitted by noon on Tuesday. So I'm not
Okay,
sure
it
where
is.
you heard otherwise. If you can let us know, we can correct it for whomever told you that.
Time did Section 6 turn their information in?
I'm not sure, but the districts, I believe it was noon on Tuesday.
We were required to provide a decision before Section 6 decision, is what you're saying?
I think they met for 2 days. What I'm telling you is that we had to provide our decision by noon on Tuesday. I don't know
Was it
when
sent
Section.
to, who did it have to go to, Darren?
I don't know. I just know we had to submit it. But I do know Section 6 had meetings prior to that also.
Okay, so who did you submit our decision to?
And I don't know because I did not submit it. So I don't know who it got submitted to.
All right. Jennifer, are you ready to speak?
So my concerns with this is beyond just the fact that sports, may be played, may not be played. My concern is the relationships that the coaches and the coaches' staff have with these students. These are mentors on a whole nother level. These, having daughters who were very close with all their coaches. It was a very integral part of my, my growing up as well. Coaches stand in mentorship and help guide and motivate. And I'm wondering how this affects that relationship. I understand without playing these sports, and that's a whole nother thing, because if we're allowing this on a statewide level, and there's certain sports that don't coincide, like cross country or sports where you really don't, the issues aren't as prevalent. But for me, I'm wondering if we're choosing cost of paying coaches and this supportive staff over the impact that it has on students. A lot of our students would much rather not participate. You have students who use the fact that they play sports and have to keep up a certain average just to come to school. That's just a fact, and it's more than anybody would like to think. If I don't pull that 85, I can't play basketball, I can't play softball, I can't play. So that's their motivation. So to me, I'm wondering what the support system would be if we take sports out altogether. Do we keep these coaches as mentors? Are we coming up with some type of an agreement where cost is concerned? What are we doing as far as that mentorship piece? Number one. And number two, knowing that, districts around us might be competing, what's our narrative? What are we telling our parents and our caregivers and our constituents around why we're not competing with them?
So, well, I do know during the work session last week, Dr. Cash gave you the reasonings around that and the recommendation of not having sports. And he also put it in the statement about the safety and welfare for our students. I mean, like right now, we're completely remote learning right now. There are unfortunately cases of COVID popping up in other school districts at this point in time. So as right now, we don't have any fall sports. And that was because of what Dr. Cash mentioned last week and the advice of the Health Advisory Council, as he explained last week during the work session.
So, and this is why I said with the decision that's made today, right? So I'm with the fact that we don't, and this goes back to my original point, if we don't have fall sports because of that, one of my main reasons for even bringing that up is for the folks who weren't privy to the work session last week. I'm glad you brought up what was brought up. I'm not trying to contradict. I'm saying what is our narrative. So thank you, because that would be the narrative we get, correct? That the wellness, the fact that we have a health advisory committee that helped us along with that, this is what I want the public to hear. My main concern is that mentorship, that piece. Are we eliminating, because we don't have fall sports, are we eliminating that relationship? It was brought to my attention that coaches are not to contact students I don't know if that's rumor or hearsay. I don't normally play into that, but I heard it from multiple folks that coaches are no longer able to connect with students or able to have that, that back and forth. And that's so
And that
crucial.
was, no, and Dr. Cash, that was brought to Dr. Cash's attention today because that rumor was brought to Dr. Cash's attention. And I'm not sure, as educators, that we would ever tell an educator not. If you have a relationship with a student, you want to check on that student, see how they're doing. We always encourage that. We have teachers that do that, that don't even teach the students anymore. When I was a teacher, 1 year I taught all freshmen. But I also follow them through. How's it going? How's the family? You check on your students, and coaches do that, regardless. And so Dr. Cash did look into it. There was no directive given that coaches can't contact students. That, to me, that doesn't even make sense because
it does make sense.
I'm just
disagree with you,
and that's fine.
I disagree with that,
and that's fine. But what we always encourage in this district is the relationship between students and adults, because we know that many students are looking for adult role models and other adults to fill the gap, right? And so that's what we do encourage in our district.
Okay, so something was said, Jennifer. Let me just put this in here because this rumor, the rumor, if 3 or 4 people hear it, source, it's not a rumor. Okay.
Oh, it's still a rumor. There's been rumors about
it's
me
not a rumor. If 3 people
from the rumor.
Darren, let me help you. Clean it. Let's stop cleaning it up and let's stop cleaning it up. Okay, because here's the thing. If four coaches tell you the same thing that they were told, then somebody is not communicating something clearly. Because why would 4 coaches say the same thing if it's not true?
Did they say who they were told that by?
Me about this district. We're big on cleaning things up. Somebody made a mistake in directing those coaches. A mistake because 4 of them said the same thing.
Can you tell me who told them that?
Telling you nothing because you'll wait a minute, because they'll be punished. You know the game that's being played up here. No, the bullying that's going on in this district has to stop.
I'm not trying to figure out who told you.
Why would the coach tell the principal the same thing?
I'm not trying to figure out who told you, Mrs.
Not right here.
I'm not trying to figure out who your sources are. I'm trying to figure out who they said told them that. I don't need to know who the coaches are.
It came from I believe it came from House, is what I heard. I want to put people on the blast. Okay, now, and that was, I think, a cost-saving effort. Because if they stop or don't use the system, I don't even know the name of the sports system, and reaching out to these people, and because they're not going to be hiring or putting the coaches on hiring them this year, that type of relationship should stop, and they should stop working with their students and stop talking with their students. And I don't believe that 4 coaches said the same thing, and it didn't happen. I'm sorry.
So can I just clarify?
And you know we would be completely against that, Mrs. Cotner.
Of course, that's why it upset us.
I just want to clarify. Thank you, Darren. No, I didn't, baby. Go ahead. I just want to clarify that is being considered a rumor, that relationships are still if you have a relationship, that teachers and coaches should still check on these students. That was my concern. I just want to make sure that clear for the public, that is not the case. And again, because they're not actually physically coaching, I don't know, compensation, no compensation, whatever, but I just want to make sure that there's the protocols in place for them to be able to really not just check in when they feel like it, but maybe not a directive, but real encouragement from us as a district for folks, especially coaches, and especially those folks that are working in our music department. Our department have relationships to make sure that they check in with their students who count on these, extracurriculars.
What is the plan B, in other words? That we have students that have high needs, that have that sports has been stripped from them. The board last week in our committee meeting was expecting that the superintendent would meet the coaches and come back to us with ideas of how the coaches could continue to support students during this period of time. And that did not happen from a conversation you and I had earlier. Concern is that these are high-risk students, that the coaches had them easily for 2 to 3 hours a day, kept them off the streets, out of trouble, and now just cold turkey in them and not even providing them with any type of additional support acceptable to me as a board member. Some sort of mentoring. I expect some sort of support for those children. These are high-risk individuals who, in most cases, sports is what's holding them and keeping them together. And what a parent to this is that her son has lost interest in coming back to school because that's what it was his driving force, and that's what kept him there. So I'm concerned about it. And what amazes me is how the message, and then when it comes back to the board, somehow or another, it's a rumor. But 4 people don't say the same thing, and it's a rumor.
Yes,
I'm sorry. Rumors don't work like that. Not from 4 individual people. In my book, didn't get together and start singing a song together. They were told that, and I'm concerned about that. Yes, Mr. Hurd.
Okay, from listening to the conversation, it seems that nothing was submitted to the Section 6 or to the New York State High School Athletic Association. So
something was submitted, Mr. Hurd.
We don't know by whom.
Yeah, because that's not my area, but I do know that it was submitted prior, right after, I believe they sent Dr. Cash sent the press conference or the press release out. It was submitted that same day.
Okay, so September 21st is the day that teams can practice across New York State for fall sports.
Not all fall sports.
Right. I believe it's football, volleyball.
Football is not till March 2021.
High impact sports aren't till the spring.
It's very few sports, actually.
Very few sports.
Soccer, field hockey, volleyball.
Lower moderate impact sports.
Swimming.
Right, swimming, yeah.
The runners get out there, they'll go for a run, They don't need a coach for that.
Okay, it looked like winter sports is going to start late from November 30th. That includes basketball, wrestling, hockey, bowling, skiing, indoor track, cheerleading, swimming, and diving. We have to look at the winter sports also as we go into this conversation, see what's going to happen down the line. If we do reopen schools, if we find that, and by looking through our health advisory council, that we can have some form of in-person school, we need to look at our winter programs also and see what we can do with that. I think that despite narrowing it down, we should always have relationship. Parents should have a relationship with their teachers, coaches, trainers, etc., and that should go through the parent to the teacher with permission, or to the coach with permission, because overall, there has been coaches who always train the kids. They always work with kids, throughout the summer months, throughout the winter months. They're constantly working with our kids, and I believe that Jennifer has a great point when she says that that relationship needs to stay intact. We can work those relationships, and that's what our whole program for learning is about, building those relationships and helping our children out. So we should really pursue those goals and also concentrate what's going to happen in the winter goals, since the district already decided that this year we're not going to look into our fall sports programs.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what fall sports actually were canceled? You're talking about football. What else? Soccer.
Soccer, cross country.
Country.
Swimming.
Swimming.
Sharon, when you
US,
say canceled, are you saying BPS or Section 6?
It's New York State High School Board Association, and they have the governing bodies that delegates to the Section 6.
But they're allowing low-risk fall sports.
Right. We need clarity on what sports is not going to be allowed and what sports are being allowed, and how this reflects into the winter sports. Regarding see if we're in a position to allow in-person school to open back up. This also affects modified sports programs.
So what question do you want me to follow up on, Mrs. Cotman?
What question do I want you to follow up on? I want you to find out why coaches were instructed to keep children loose. Understanding is because we're not going to be coaches and that they should not be doing a coach job.
Okay.
My understanding was. So I want to know what programs or what supports, what type of mentoring are we going to do for these children who have relationships with these coaches? And we may not be able to bring them on full time, but we certainly need to provide some sort of hours for them to work with these children during a given week. These children need the guidance of their coaches. And I don't think that it's fair not to at least do something virtually with them or have children meet with them or something. I'm just not feeling comfortable with just leaving these young people out there without any support. And of course, would work with children. That goes without saying. They went into the profession to do so. But if you are given a directive that you cannot work in a certain function, and the fear might have been because of retaliation from the union or whatever, which you're not paying them, I don't know where it came from, but it was expressed. Okay. Want to know when we put a plan in place, why we don't have a backup plan, why the conversation did not exist that says, if we pull these coaches away from these children, what is going to be the impact of them in their lives? Major for me, really is.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, what I have is a list of the fall sports and the winter sports in spring. The fall, cheerleading, cross country, field hockey, football, golf, gymnastics, soccer, swimming, tennis, and volleyball are considered our Section 6 fall sports. And then as we look into the winter, we got basketball, bowling, cheerleading, hockey, rifle, skiing, swimming, winter track, and wrestling. Okay. So that encompasses a lot of occupation by our inner city youth in all these programs.
Alrighty. I will definitely share those concerns with Dr. Cash also. Thank you.
The Manhattan Project is what else is up for me. Best South, I sent is part of a initiative to use the green space between All High and the charter school and to put a housing unit there that's for recovering, people who are recovering. I have major concerns because of what I've been told that is anticipated in that corridor, and I want to make sure that that green space remains for future use. All night there is a meeting. I am going to go to it. It is a meeting that is going to be held outside at 6 p.m. at 390 Manhattan, which is where the location is supposed to be. And I have intentions of going there. I sent you guys a flyer. It talks about this is a transient complex for the people will only be there between 6 to 9 months, and that there will be a constant flow of people who are dealing with substance abuse issues in that vicinity. And I'm very concerned about making sure that district is protected. And here's what I have. Thursday, September the 17th at 6 p.m. at 390 Manhattan, outside under a tent. The Manhattan Project meeting is tomorrow. So I do intend on going to that meeting to learn as much as I can so I can bring it forward. But I'm very concerned. I've also been told that a 900-unit apartment has been proposed for on the other side of Bennett High School. And so I want to find out more about that as well. Lou, do you know anything about that? Has it gone to the planning board? Is it through the zoning or anything?
I don't believe it has, Sharon. I was unaware of anything 900. The ones that we were discussing were smaller and they hadn't been. The only thing I would just say is that there's been a series of court decisions that pertain to people that have substance abuse issues that New York State considers that a medical condition, and we cannot discriminate against people who have medical conditions. So oftentimes, homes for people that have substance abuse or alcoholism, whatever it may be, it's very difficult for local municipalities to place any type of restrictions upon those types of housing situations.
I do understand that there's also a law that says that within 500 feet of a school be drugged.
Yep.
Anelia.
Very familiar.
Okay, is it 500 feet or more?
It's more. It's more for the SLA and the distance and how they measure. You're correct. There are a variety of different regulations with respect to where alcohol can be served in relation to a school or other institutions.
I'm going to go to this meeting. I'm going to find more about it. I am concerned about keeping that green space around All High. And especially with this big apartment complex that is being proposed in the very near future. I think it would be a big mistake to put anything on green space at this particular time. That's all. Do that. And the Hispanic Heritage Month started yesterday.
Sorry, I have my hand up.
Sorry.
Who owns that property?
I don't know. No.
I know that we park on there for the football games, so I'm not quite sure who owned the property. There is a parking lot there, and
this is not the parking lot.
It's the gravel area.
The green space is a large lot between between All High and the school. It's sitting right there on the corner.
There's a lot of gravel there.
Where the old nursing home used to be.
It was a nursing home years ago. There.
Yeah. Yeah.
With the bowling alley, the nursing home. Okay. I have property over there, and we never received any notice from the city that there's going to be any type of development over there also. So I want to check with the city on that also.
Well, there was a letter sent out, I'm being told, by the community, but it had the wrong date. They were able to find it. Mercer was the only street that they believe was given any information about it.
Okay.
So you're probably right. Okay. All right. So the Hispanic Heritage Month started yesterday. I meant to talk about that earlier. September the 15th through October the 15th is Spanish Heritage Month. And if you go on our website, there's a lot of information out there in part of the culturally inclusive efforts of the CLRI. And the final thing on my plate is the equity resolution. It's just about completed, and not the policy updations for Nate. Be forwarding over hopefully within the next day, and for the board to take a look at and have your input and things that you want to see put on that. I did just the administrative piece. I did not try to write a policy for our attorney, but I do feel that there was a need to do an administrative piece to make sure that the directive is clear from the board, and I'm asking for that. The superintendent evaluation is due. Lou Petrucci is going to be working that piece, and you'll be hearing from him in regards to that. And the only other thing is Dr. Revere, we had talked about the communication initiative, and will you be able to report on that soon, or at a committee meeting or something?
I'm hoping so. I'm waiting to work with staff on their end of it to talk a little bit about what their needs are. And I will
Okay.
kick that off tomorrow, get some information, we'll move forward with it.
Thank you. Is there anything else that the board would like to talk about at this point?
I just wanted to bring up something so I didn't forget, and it's nothing we have to really discuss now, but I'm curious, and Darren, maybe we can go over email. With the Saturday Academies, I'm hearing from folks that when Saturday Academies begin, there's a real, discussion around how there may not be a lot of folks present, and maybe what other services can be offered with Say Yes, in conjunction with the Saturday Academies. How can we utilize that time, that money, that space, to maybe do something that's more, I don't know, that we know we're covered in case a lot of people aren't able to utilize that time. People are on virtual all week long for school. Maybe they don't want to do that on Saturday morning. Like, it just, it's been a concern that's been brought to me multiple times. Like, I'm not going to be able to physically go there. Why would I do that? There's, no matter how much I kind of uplift what the Saturday Academies might bring and try and encourage people to give ideas, it's more around what else can they do other than make a sign on a Saturday. So I just want to bring that to the table publicly to let folks know I am addressing it, and then we can go back and forth over email and I can update people.
Do you want to reach out to David Russ, or do you want staff to reach out to him? What do you have any ideas of what that would look like, Jennifer?
I can find out the folks who I have the folks who have been contacting me. It's now 7 people who have been bringing this up consistently. So I can solicit suggestions or give it to staff. I'm looking for guidance. I don't want to overstep my bounds and try and discuss what that looks like as far as curriculum and things like that. But
And
I just want
the
to make
beauty
sure.
of, and Mrs. McCosey, to Ms. Cottman's point, if you have any ideas or if the community has any ideas, the beauty of it is that there will be virtual Saturday Academies, and now people aren't bound by geography, right? So it's not really a having transportation to get there issue anymore. You can visit any of the Saturday Academies because they are virtual. And if this one is doing something you like, you can log on to this one. If this one is doing something, you can log on to that one. So I know they're soliciting ideas also of what families and students are looking for.
Right, and I'll be completely honest. I feel I'm glad you said that because it makes me feel better about me saying that. That was kind of my, but it's going to be great point. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and that
yeah.
that was rebutted with, I'm online all week long with my kid. I don't want to get on a Saturday. That was, more of the conversation. So I'm just looking to see whether or not that was something that's come up with these conversations around Saturday Academy. All right, you're going to bed soon. And just whether or not there's a plan in place. I'll dig a little deeper and see what suggestions folks have, as opposed to just bringing an issue to me. I do try and get folks to give me suggestions. But I didn't want to prolong this meeting. I just want to make sure the public heard me say this because multiple people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We appreciate that on both counts.
Okay, well, certainly bring ideas forward. I'm sure they're receptive. Okay, any other things that needs to be shared at this time?
I have my hand up.
Yes, I'm sorry. You have, 2 hands up. Dr. Brown and Terrence Hurd.
I just basically want to get on a bandwagon about the importance of the coaches being involved with these young people. We can, we're reimagining education. It's been here before. And so when we decide to make decisions, based on science with the COVID and contact sports, that's one thing. But the other thing is how we're going to close that gap with these young people who are at risk. They need these wraparound services. And so my opinion, along with my colleagues here, is we have to reimagine how we're going to keep that carrot with these young people. So when we talk about reimagining it has to be a way to get it done. So we need to talk to these coaches to brainstorm how that can happen. That's my take on it.
So much.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay, Terrence Hurd.
No, I apologize. I took my hand down.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I guess board members, if Lou does not reach out to you, he's a very busy person. Does reach out to you, try to take his calls, because I have to talk to 9 board members and come up with to do and moving forward with the evaluation, superintendent's evaluation, okay? Please be mindful of that.
Thank you, Cheryl.
If nothing else, may I have a motion to
Adjourn.
Lou, was that you? Can I get a second? Jennifer, is that you?
Motion to eat.
All right.
Thank you, Terrence.
An agreement, no disagreements. We will conclude. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Have a good